Now, it was only a matter of time before I did this rebuild right here, rebuilding the Utah Hockey Club until franchise mode ends, meaning we're going to have ourselves a 25-year rebuild. Nick Schmaltz, Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther is going to be the first line, Matthias Michelli, Logan Cooley, and Lawson Crouse is going to be the second line. However, as we know, over the next handful of years, this team's going to be changing quite a bit. We're going to build ourselves a dynasty here. Sergachev, Sean Durzi, that's going to be an amazing first pairing. John Marino, Val Mackey, that's not a bad second pairing. Ian Cole, Kessel Ring, you guys can hold it down in the third pairing. Connor Ingram, we're going to find out pretty quickly if you can be the goaltender for us. I think you have the potential to be a solid goaltender, but can you be the guy for us? I'm not too sure on that one. Now, in year number one, I don't plan on making a ton of trades here. However, there are some re-signings we have to do here. There's a couple guys I want to bring back to the team. When it comes to making a couple re-signings for this team, honestly, there isn't really too much we have to do. Nick Bjugstad, I don't think I'm going to bring you back to the team. If anything, I'm going to trade you away. You're 32 years old. If anything, you're just going to start regressing pretty quick here. Kerfoot, I don't think you fit the timeline for us. Ian Cole, you're 35. McBain, maybe we can bring you back depending on what you're looking for. Like 1.8 for Jack McBain for the next 2 years is definitely a great contract, so we're going to be locking him down. Carcone, to be a bottom six guy, wouldn't mind keep you on the team, and it looks like we're going to be doing that. It's going to be 1.95 for the next two. So Carcone's going to be sticking around as well. Bertuzzo's going to be leaving. Yamamoto's probably going to leave. Victor Soderstrom, more than likely, you're probably going to be leaving the team as well. Now that we've given out a couple extensions, let's make some trades. Now in NHL 24, one player I hated trading for, Dawson Mercer. Every single time I had Dawson Mercer on my team, he let me down. However, this is NHL 25. Things have changed. Dawson Mercer, are you and I going to get along in NHL 25, or are you going to let me down every single time I trade for you? Nick Bjugstad, you're going to be sent over. Dawson Mercer's joined the team. We're getting a lot younger in a deal like this. So after acquiring Dawson Mercer, this is what we're looking at. Nick Schmaltz, Dawson Mercer, Clayton Keller on the first line, Dylan Gunther, Logan Cooley, and Lawson Crouse on the second. Now, I fully believe this team is not going to be competing for a Stanley Cup here in year number one. Although we're a good team, and this team's looking amazing in real life, I don't think that success is going to translate too much into NHL 25. So I fully expect this team to be missing the postseason in year number one, but that's going to be perfectly fine with me because we're going to build for the future. So you already know what we have to do here. We have to go ahead and simulate up to the trade deadline. Before we do that though, we have to have a quick conversation with our coach. 5-on-5 focused every single time. Always said to 5-on-5 focused, you get more defensive awareness, you get more offensive awareness, the two most important attributes, and now they're getting even better. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and simulate up to the trade deadline. Before we do that though, why aren't you subscribed to the channel? You're watching this video for a reason, right? Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 72K by the end of the month. Subscribe to the channel. You enjoy the content, you love 25-year rebuilds, you enjoy watching me suffer, subscribe to the channel. So Utah's kind of doing what I expected this season. We're not a dominant team by any means, but we're actually not as bad as I thought. We're currently sitting in a wildcard spot, 32, 27, and 4. Offensively, we're not good, and defensively, we're not good. So we're just a very mid team right now, but I kind of expected that. Clayton Keller's looking good so far, Nick Schmaltz is looking good, Sergachev's looking good, Sean Durzi's looking good, and you know who else is looking good that I didn't really expect to be looking good? Dawson Mercer. Bro hasn't been a complete disappointment so far, so I'll definitely take it. Dylan Gunther hasn't been that great, but you know what? I'm going to put a lot of the blame on the coach here. We have a terrible coach. Not too much you can do with that. In NHL 25 and basically every previous NHL game, if you have a really bad coach, then you don't have a chance at winning. It doesn't matter if you have all 99 overalls or not. If you have a bad coach, you don't have a chance. So right now we have a B overall coach. We're not going to be able to compete for a Stanley Cup right now, so we're going to sell a couple assets. So this is what we're going to do with trade number one. Why the St. Louis? Okay, I'm actually not against this deal. This is not a bad deal whatsoever. I was about to make a deal with the Boston Bruins, but I don't hate this deal right here. Buchnevich for our first round pick. Buchnevich is an absolute stud. Bringing him to the team would honestly not be that bad. We give up our first round pick for this season. We could probably make a push for the playoffs. Let's do that. 2025 first round pick for Buchnevich. I like that deal. I like that deal a lot. But we're not quite done with the trades yet because now we're going to ship out Kerfoot and I'm bringing in Matt Poitras. I think he can be a really good bottom six player for us in the future. So he's going to be acquired. We're giving up Kerfoot in the third round pick. And we're bringing in Andrew Peak just so we can make the contracts work. But I would say this is definitely a very successful trade deadline as long as we can make the postseason here. So these are the lines we're going to rock here. The first line's going to be staying the same. Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Dawson Mercer. But Buchnevich, Logan Cooley, and Dylan Gunther, that's an elite second line. I think we should be able to get into the postseason now, even though we have a terrible coach. So the acquisition of Buchnevich is going to be helping us a lot here. The Utah Hockey Club are going to be making the postseason, 10th in the entire league, a 44, 32-6 record. The offense is looking better here. The defense is looking better. This team's ready to compete. We took some big strides forward after the trade deadline. Buchnevich is going to be helping a ton here, and it was definitely worth trading that first round pick for. We traded like the 21st overall pick away for Buchnevich. Definitely worth it. However, when his contract kicks in, he is going to have a no trade clause for at least 4 years. So that's going to keep him on the team until he's at least 34 years old. But honestly, I'm perfectly okay with that as long as he continues to produce. And you know what? He's looked amazing since he joined the team. What has he done so far? 14 points in 19 games. He's playing some big minutes on the second line. You know what? The team's looking all right. When it comes to goaltending, Connor Ingram, 34 wins, 1 shutout, a 906 and a 303. Considering what this team looked like at the trade deadline, we're actually not looking too bad here. However, the Utah Hockey Club are going to have themselves a tough task in the first round. We're going to be taking on the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota's been rolling so far, but so is Utah, so we're going to have ourselves a great matchup. So it's the first ever postseason for the Utah Hockey Club. They're going to be dropping game number 1, but they're going to respond in game number 2. That's a big win for them. What's going to happen in game 3? They're going to be winning another game here. Can we win 3 straight games to take a commanding 3-1 series lead? Yes, we can. The Utah Hockey Club is doing big things, and they're going to keep on doing big things. Moving into game number 5 here, upsetting the Minnesota Wild, a 6-0 shutout. The boys are rolling. So the boys pulled off a massive upset in the first round, taking down the Minnesota Wild. We're moving on to our next matchup. That's going to feature the Winnipeg Jets. If we're able to take down a team like Minnesota, I think we can take down anyone. So Winnipeg is going to be a tougher task. If we're in the second round, we have better teams left here. We're going to be taking 2 of the first 3 games. That's going to be huge for us. We're going to be dropping game number 4. We're down to a best of 3 moving on. So game 5 is going to be deciding one this series, and it looks like we're going to be dropping that one as well. We're off to game 6 elimination. Now, I wasn't expecting the Utah Hockey Club to even make the playoffs, so if we fall in the second round here, it's not the end of the world. We're going to be exchanging goals in the second period. Shout out to Buchnevich picking up a big shorthanded goal, and in the third period, it looks like we're going to keep on scoring. We're forcing game 7. So we got game 7 of the second round here. Can the boys stay alive and make it to the conference finals? We're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. In the second, it's going to be a scoreless one. We need elite defense in the third period, and that's what we're going to get here. Pyong's going to be picking up the only goal for the Winnipeg Jets. We really just made the conference finals in year number 1. So Utah is going to keep on upsetting teams we made to the conference finals. There's no reason we should be here right now, but since we are, we might as well keep on winning. Now we have to beat the Vancouver Canucks. So we just have to take it one game at a time here. We're going to be taking game number 1, but dropping 2 in a row. Let's not make it 3 in a row. We got to steal this one. Just realized the face cam was off, but that's neither here nor there. It's a best of 3 moving on, and we're going to be winning the next game. Can we close out in game 6 and make it to the Stanley Cup final? We really just did that. We made it to the Stanley Cup final in year number 1 with the Utah Hockey Club. I thought we were going to be getting the first overall pick, and now we're taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Can we please beat the Montreal Canadiens and win in year number 1? We're taking 2 of the first 3. Game 4 is going to be a massive one. Can we steal that one? Utah's about to win in year number 1. We're going to win in year number 1 here as long as we don't have a huge collapse. We just did that. We won in year number 1. The Utah Hockey Club is Stanley Cup champs in year number 1. A team who I thought had a better chance getting the first overall pick than winning a Stanley Cup just won a Stanley Cup. Ain't no way that just happened. Buchnevich are the Conn Smythe winner in my books, 22 points. Clayton Keller, 21. Nick Schmaltz picking up 19. Sean Dursey, 19. The boys were flying. Connor Ingram, 16 wins, 2 shots, a 926 and a 245. I don't know how you did this. I don't know how we just won a Stanley Cup here, but we did, and Utah's on top. Year number 1. The Arizona Coyotes wouldn't have been able to do this. The Utah Hockey Club can. And who is our Conn Smythe winner? Of course, it's going to be our man, Buchnevich. Bro stepped up in the big time games, and he's the reason we won this. And just think, I traded the 32nd overall pick for Buchnevich, and we won a Stanley Cup. Definitely worth making that trade. Now, I'm not too familiar with Justin Carbonneau. He's got low top 6 potential, starting as a 69 overall, but he was a gem, so I'll have to pay attention to him. So it actually turns out we're going to be getting our best player with the 96th overall pick, Ronnie Rizzi. You heard that right. Ronnie Rizzi. Ain't no way. Now, it looks like the elite potential players are going to keep on coming, as we're going to be securing another one with 128th overall. So we're not really bringing anyone back to the team. I'm qualifying Yamamoto. Sokolov, I'm going to give you a deal here. It's just a 2-year extension. But other than that, I don't think we're really going to do too much. Akuratu, I guess I can give you a 2-year deal. It's a 2-way contract, so why not? But everyone else on this team more than likely is going to be leaving. Vejmelka, I actually wouldn't mind keeping you around. Barring what you're looking for, of course, we can do 1.8 million for 1 year. That's not a terrible contract. All right, now we got the big extensions coming up here. Logan Cooley, Nick Schmaltz, Matthias Michelli, all these guys I want to bring back to the team, except for maybe Nick Schmaltz. I'm going to be honest, Nick Schmaltz, I don't really think we need you on this team. You're a great player and all, an amazing playmaker, but I don't think we need another playmaker on this team. We have Logan Cooley, we have Clayton Keller, we don't really need your services here. Logan Cooley, I want to give you a deal, but we have to do more in 1 year, so we're just going to hold off right now. Matthias Michelli, we're going to be looking at for you. Matthias Michelli, you're up next here, and can I give you $5 million to be a bottom 6 guy for us? I don't think so, so you're going to be traded away as well. Barrett Hayton, what are you looking for? Hopefully it's a reasonable deal. If we can do under $2 million, that would be ideal here. We're going to try 1.9 for the next two. Kesselring is a third pairing defenseman. You're not too bad, but $3 million, that's a bit expensive here. How about we do 2.7 million for the next two? Now, one playmaker I do want for the bottom six is going to be Matt Poitras. So we're going to do 1.4 for the next 2 years. Actually, let's make that a 3-year deal and let's do 1.5 million. So 1.5 for the next 3 years. It's a pretty solid deal for him. And then Matthias Michelli, we can trade you away. Valmack, you're actually going to be asking for a pretty reasonable deal as well. We're going to do 2.5 for the next 2 years. And then Josh Stone, we're going to finish it off with you. So what's Josh Stone going to be looking for here? He's looking for $1.9 million if we did an 8-year deal. What if we did 2.5 million? Like, I'll overpay a ton here, but then we can lock him down for the next 8 years. Actually, we're going to do 2.7 million. So 2.7 for the next 8. If we could somehow keep Josh Stone around long term, that would be an amazing contract. So Connor Ingram's going to be sticking around for the next 4 years. We're going to give him this big deal. It's going to be 3.4 million for the next 4 with a no movement clause. If we're going to be saving 1.5 million, then I'm perfectly fine with giving him a no movement. So Nick Schmaltz, I want to thank you for all the amazing years here, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to pick up Voronkov and we're going to pick up Marchenko. They're going to be 2 bottom 6 guys for us. We're turning 1 player into 2. This is the right move for us. Ginla, we're going to give you another year to develop, and then more than likely next season you're going to be jumped into the lineup. So we need to pick up 1 more defenseman. We're going to bring in a stick on the ice legend, Henry Jokiharju. It's going to be 2.5 for the next 2 years. He's accepting on the dot. We're actually going to be running back with the majority of the same team, and the reason for that, we just want a Stanley Cup. Why would I try to change anything? So we still have to trade Matthias Michelli, and that's what we're going to do right here. It's going to be Michelli and a 6th round pick over to the Bruins. We're going to get a young prospect, and we're also going to get Lowry to help the defense here. I'm not even too sure if Lowry is going to play for us, but if he does, he's going to be a useful asset. A 7th round pick will make the difference in this one, and now we're ready for next season. So we got a Stanley Cup defense in front of us. Dawson Mercer, Buchnevich, Clayton Keller on the top line. Then we're going to be rocking Lawson Crouse, Logan Cooley, and Dylan Gunther on the second. We have some great scoring here in the top 6. Hopefully we can hold up for the entirety of the season. The third line's looking a lot better. Marchenko, Poitras, Voronkov, that's a great third line. You know what? The fourth line, they're going to hold it down for us. When it comes to the defense, Sergachev and Dursey is definitely going to be a great starting pairing. And then we got John Marino and Valimaki. We're definitely looking good right now. And then when it comes to goaltending, Connor Ingram, you won us the Stanley Cup last season. I fully believe you can do it again. Alright, so the boys are not looking good right now. Lawson Crouse, you can just not step up in these big time moments. So we're going to trade you away. We're going to pick up Slafkovsky. He's on an 8-year deal, 7.6 million. That's an absolute steal for us. A 10-team no trade clause in the final 3 years. We can work around that. So it's going to be Lawson Crouse in our 1st round pick for this season. They're going to say no to that. I'll give you Ottawa's 2nd round pick. I'll give you Ottawa's 2nd round pick, and I think that should be enough to get this one done. We're not too far off. So if I give you our 2nd round pick for 2027, is that going to be the difference maker? Slafkovsky, welcome to the team. I need you to spark something here. Alright, so everything has gone wrong. I thought picking up Slafkovsky would completely turn this team around. Absolutely not. We are one of the worst teams in the entire league, and we don't own our 1st round pick. So nothing is going right here. We're not making the postseason. I don't know why this team is so bad. Like, we won the Stanley Cup last season. Granted, we weren't a great team last year, but I still thought we'd be better than this. This is just disappointing. Like, nobody on this team is performing right now, and I really don't know why. I brought in a new coach. I fired our old one. Connor Ingram, you haven't been good. Maybe in the final 20 games you can spark something, but I highly doubt it. So there is a little bit of good news here. We're not making the postseason, but after bringing in a new coach, this team was certainly better, so we're not going to be one of the worst teams. Okay, we're still really bad, but 22nd in the entire league, a 38, 37, and 7 record. As long as we get like the 10th overall pick or something, then I'm very happy with that Slafkovsky trade. If we just trade the 10th overall pick for Slafkovsky, I'm perfectly fine with that. If it ends up being the 1st overall pick, I'm going to be a bit upset. Defensively, we were terrible this season. Offensively, we were terrible. We weren't really good at anything, but I'm going to put a lot of that blame on the coach. Clayton Keller, Buchnevich, Logan Cooley, Dawson Mercer, Slafkovsky, Sergachev, Dylan Gunther. I believe this is a good core right here. We should be able to win games with that core right there. Goaltending, maybe that's the one thing holding us back. Maybe Connor Ingram isn't good enough. But then again, like last season, he wasn't terrible. Actually, he was. We were just able to outscore our problems last season. So last season, he wasn't good, and this season, he wasn't good. So what direction is this team really headed? I'm not too sure. But we're going to be missing the playoffs here after winning a Stanley Cup the year before. Vancouver's going to take down the New Jersey Devils. There's going to be a lot of big changes coming over the offseason. And before we get to the draft, before we get to the re-sign phase, obviously, Logan Cooley has to come back to the team. And I want to try to lock him down for 8 years. If we do 8 years, though, he wants 10.4 million. So I guess we're just going to be doing that 5-year deal he was looking for. And this is actually pretty wild. But Logan Cooley, we're going to do 6.9 for the next 5 years. I'm not giving you a no trade clause or anything. I'm just asking you to accept $2 million less, and I think you're going to do so. So the salary cap just went up. Is Logan Cooley going to be accepting? Yes, he is. So we didn't give him no trade clause. We didn't give him no movement clause or anything. I just asked him to accept $2 million less, and that's what he's going to do. So it looks like that Utah pick's going to drop from 11 to 12, which is even better. So we basically traded a second round pick, Lawson Crouse, and the 12th overall for Slavkovsky. That was a good move. Now, although we had a handful of picks in this draft, 6 to be exact, we did not get any notable players. I think we got one medium top 4 potential defenseman. Outside that, nothing great. So based on what we have for extensions, I don't think any of these guys are going to be coming back here. Looking at goaltenders, Vamelka, do I want to bring you back? I mean, you weren't good last season. You're asking for 1.5 million. I mean, 1.5 is not the end of the world, so we'll do 1.35 for the next 2 years. So you'll stick around, but outside of that, we're basically just going to rock the exact same team with a new coach, and I can guarantee you a new coach is going to make a massive difference. All right, so John Marino is going to be looking for a contract extension, but I could trade him over to the Detroit Red Wings. He's up to an 88 overall, and he has a lot of trade value. We could bring in a guy like Mo Sider. Now, I don't think we can go 1-for-1 here, but it's probably not going to take too much more. So on top of giving up John Marino, we're also going to give up Jack McBain in this deal, and I think that might be enough. They're going to be saying no. It's probably going to take a second or third rounder. So we learned from the past, we're not giving up a first round pick here, but if all it's going to cost is another second round pick, it's going to be worth it. Mo Sider, welcome to the team. So we have some tough extensions coming up here, one of them being Dawson Mercer. Do I believe Dawson Mercer can be a top player for us? I'm a little bit concerned with this deal. So what the deal is going to be for Dawson Mercer, it's going to be 4.8 for the next 4 years. A modified no trade clause is going to kick in year number 3, so he's going to have that for years 3 and 4. 20 team no trade. If we do want to trade him away in the future, we'll be able to. Marchenko, you're a bottom 6 guy for us. I'm assuming you're going to be asking for a lot of money here. 4.2 million. I don't think I can do that. Carcone for a bottom 6 guy, I can definitely do 2.3 million. So here's 2.3 for the next 3 years. And then once that contract's up, more than likely you're going to be walking away. Henry Okiharu, Mason Lohrei. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with you guys. Henry Okiharu, actually I know exactly what we're going to do. It's going to be 2.6 for the next 2 years. That's an incredible deal. And Mason Lohrei, ideally we can do a pretty cheap deal with you as well. And that's what it's going to be, 1.9 for the next 2. So we've got ourselves a more offensive oriented coach. And you know what? We're going to try something we haven't done yet. Clayton Keller, I'm going to have you play center. Now the reason we're going to have Clayton Keller play center, even though he's a right wing / left wing, is he's actually one of the better face-off men on this team. He has a 73 face-off. If we compare it to Dawson Mercer, who's a right winger / center, he only has a 65. How the guy whose secondary position is center can't win face-offs? That makes no sense to me. And then Logan Cooley, an actual centerman here, can't win faceoffs either. He has a 76. So yeah, we got to get somebody on this team that can actually win faceoffs. Like, what's Matt Poitras's faceoff? He's got a 78. So maybe he should be playing these top minutes. But you know what? We're not doing that. Matt Poitras, you're going to stay on the third line. I believe this team's going to see a lot more success this season. A lot of the young guys have developed. We have a better coach. We have 3 elite defensemen. Yeah, the other 3 might not be the best in the world, but you know what? They're going to keep on developing here. And then when it comes to goaltending, Connor Ingram, we need a big year from you. Like, I gave you a no movement clause. It's kicking in for the next 4 years. I need you to be the guy for us. So it's kind of funny. You change coaches, you keep the exact same team, 5th in the entire league, a 39, 23, and 2 record. The offense is looking way better. The defense is still pretty sucky, but you know what? We can fix that in the future. I don't know if it's necessarily the defense or the goaltending here. Logan Cooley's been great. Dylan Guenther's been great. Clayton Keller's been great. I actually want to look at your face-off percentage. Like, are you doing pretty good in the face-off dot? Not the best in the world, but you're only 5% less than Logan Cooley. I mean, that is a pretty significant drop, but that's honestly not the end of the world here. So the offense is looking great, but the defense does need to be improved here. I don't think it's goaltending because Connor Ingram looks great. I think we just need to fix up the left side a little bit. So I think we're going to make one trade here. So Mason Lohrei, thank you for the amazing 80 or so games you played for us. Now you're being traded to Detroit and we're bringing in Wallander. Wallander's going to be a second pairing defenseman for us. He has a better fit than the guys we have right now, so he's going to help us a ton. I'll include an Edmonton 4th round pick, and that should be enough to get this one done. So that's going to help the defense here. Hopefully that's enough for us to have a strong finish to the season and hopefully finish first in the entire league. Granted, I don't even remember how many points back we are first in the entire league. We might be like 20 points back. So Utah is going to have a great finish to this season, only 2 points back of the Florida Panthers, a 52, 26, and 4 record. That last second trade we made was definitely the right decision. We're going to have one of the better defenses in the entire league, only allowing 2.88 goals allowed. Yeah, the 4th best defense. Utah's looking to win here. After a disappointing season last year, the boys are bouncing back big time here. Logan Cooley, 93 points. Dylan Guenther, 84. Clayton Keller, 83. Buchnevich, 72. Dawson Mercer, 68. Who would have thought that I would bring Dawson Mercer to a team who would actually perform here? Connor Ingram, 40 wins, 2 shots, a 908 and a 278. His numbers keep on getting better, but I need these numbers to be even better in the postseason. We're going to have the San Jose Sharks in the first round. The boys are looking to get back to the Stanley Cup final. So by 2027, I'm assuming the San Jose Sharks are going to be a pretty competitive team. They're going to be stealing the first game away from us. Moving into game number 2, It's going to take a little bit here. We're going to drop that one as well, but finally the offense is going to get going. We're picking up 7 goals in game number 3. That's going to be huge for us. We can't fall to a 3-1 deficit, so we have to win game number 4 here. Things are just not going Utah's way right now. We win a Stanley Cup in year number 1. We missed the playoffs in year number 2. Year number 3, we're 3rd in the entire league, and we're about to get bounced in the first round. How does that even happen? We're down 5-1. This game's over. We're losing 6-2. At least Dawson Mercer picked up a goal though, so at least he was somewhat useful. But yeah, we really lost in the first round. That's a tough look. I would say we just bring in a new goaltender, but we can't trade Connor Ingram away. So the Winnipeg Jets are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, taking down the Florida Panthers, but it was a disappointing loss for the Utah Hockey Club. Explain to me how this team finishes 3rd in the entire league and we only win 1 postseason game, but yet the year when we barely get into the postseason, we win the Stanley Cup. It just doesn't make sense here. Goaltending wasn't good from Connor Ingram. Connor Ingram, you might become our backup here. How close to the salary cap ceiling are we actually? Is it possible for us to trade for a new goaltender and have Connor Ingram as the backup? So if we're getting bounced in the first round, we have to respond in the first round of the draft. We're getting Moses, medium top 6 potential, but bro's a gem. On top of getting that medium top 6 potential player, we're also going to be getting a lowly potential player here in the 3rd round. So we really only have one guy that needs to be re-signed. That's going to be Marchenko. He's looking for $5.3 million. We're going to qualify you as an RFA, and I think we'll trade you away. I mean, unless we can negotiate a really cheap deal with you, but I doubt that's going to be possible. So we got some important pieces to bring back to the team. Clayton Keller, Sean Dursey, Marchenko, you're going to be traded. Barrett Hayton, we're probably going to trade you as well because you're going to want a bag. Val Mack, I have no clue how you're an 85 overall with exact elite potential. That makes 0 sense, but more than likely we're going to trade you. You know what? Let's start this off with Clayton Keller. What's he going to be looking for? $10.8 million. We're going to get an incredibly cheap deal done here. So here's what the Clayton Keller deal is going to be: 8.8 for the next 7 years, and he's also going to be getting a modified no trade clause, so we're going to be saving a bag here. Now, of course, Sean Dursey is going to be the next guy up. We're going to do 5 years at $7 million, a modified no trade clause, 20-team no trade. Once again, similar to Clayton Keller, if we want to move him in the future, we're going to have the option to. Now, Valimaki, what are you actually looking for here? You have exact elite potential. We're not doing that for you. Wallander, though, I will give you a long-term deal. If you're looking for a fair bit of money, I'm perfectly fine with that. What if we were to do 4 years? I want to try to get a 4-year deal done with Wallander here, and ideally, I want to do a pretty cheap price. So this is the deal we're doing with Wallander: 4.7 for the next 4, a no movement clause in the final 2 years. He's a great second pairing defenseman for us. I want to make sure he stays on this team. So Valimaki, you got exact elite potential now. Your trade value is a bit higher. I want to see if we can get Carson Lambos in a 2nd round pick. They're going to say no to that because they want the lucrative 7th rounder. So here's our lucrative 7th round pick. That's going to get this deal done. We get a 2nd rounder and Lambos. That's a great deal for us. So we're going to make another deal here. Marchenko over to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Connor Geeky in a 2nd round pick is going to be brought to the team here. If we're going to get that 2nd round pick, they're going to want a bit more, so I'll give you our 3rd rounder for 2029. That should be enough to get this one done. Yes, it will be. Connor Geeky, welcome to the team. So we can't give Geeky an extension yet, but Voronkov, I wouldn't mind giving you an extension. You're helping the bottom 6 a ton here, but I want to do multiple years. We're going to do 2 years at $2.3 million. I think that's a pretty solid deal for him. And he's going to be accepting on the spot, so it must have been an amazing deal. Barrett Hayton, honestly, I don't really know where you found this team. We might just hold on to you for 1 season, but maybe not. Can we get this down to under $3 million? Yes, we can. Can we get that down to $3.6 million or something? Actually, we're just going to make this simple on ourselves. $2.6 million for 1 year, and Barrett Hayton's going to stick around. Kesselring, I like you as a 3rd pairing defenseman for us, but this is a bit expensive, but maybe not as bad as I thought. 2.9 for the next 3. So it's just $200K more than what you're getting paid right now, so that's a pretty solid deal. Also, this is another small deal, but Vmelka, 1.5 for the next 2. You're a good enough backup goaltender for us. So I'm expecting the Utah Hockey Club to be even better this season. The top 6 is looking amazing, but we already knew that. But look at that 3rd line. Patra, Connor Geeky, Tija Genla. We're going to score goals here. The 4th line's actually better than our 3rd line. That's going to say a lot here. Our bottom 6 is elite. The defense on this team's elite. And goaltending, that might be the lone question mark. It was up until this point, though. Because what we're going to do this season, instead of 5-on-5 focused, we're focusing on the goaltending. That means Connor Ingram's going to jump up to like an 87 overall, and we can certainly win with an 87. Now, Utah continues to be a great team. 6th in the entire league, a 37-19-5 record. However, the one issue we're still having here is we're not good enough defensively. I don't know if it's goaltending, I don't know if it's defense, but we're allowing too many goals here. Offensively, we're looking amazing. Lone Cooley, 70 points. Dylan Gunther, 61 points. Mercer, Clayton Keller, Busnevich, all of you guys have been amazing, but it's that goaltending, and the goaltending keeps letting us down here. I think we're trading for a goaltender. Connor Ingram, you're going to be the backup from here on out, but we need a new goaltender. So this is a last-ditch effort right now. 1st rounder, Kesselring, over to the LA Kings. We got Mikey Anderson. They're going to be accepting. That's huge for us. Now we have to flip Mikey Anderson. We really don't have too much time left. Like, by the time we're done all of this, are we going to be able to get Spencer Knight on the team? They're saying no to that one because we're not close enough. Okay, we're taking Vmelka out of the deal. What do we have to do? I'll give you another second round pick. Hopefully all of this is going to be enough right here. They're accepting. Schaefer, we're flipping you now. So through all of this juggling, are we going to be able to get a deal done? Spencer Knight, are you going to join the team? They're saying no, but we're very close. We'll throw a third round pick in the deal and we'll be able to get this one done. Spencer Knight, welcome to the team. We have traded so many draft picks, but it was worth it. We got the guy that's going to win us a Stanley Cup. Okay, I don't care what the record is. We're 48, 23, and 11. There is one thing we need to look at, and it's not the offensive scoring from this team because that was amazing this season. We were lighting the lamp. I need to know what Spencer Knight's numbers were because ever since this man joined the team, we weren't as elite as I thought we would be. Spencer Knight, what'd you do? You posted an 885 and a 349. I don't know what we do with that. Like, I don't know what we do. Do we have Connor Ingram as the starter? Because, bro, you sucked here. I'm convinced it's the defense at this point. Obviously, it can't be the forwards. It has to be the defense, and it can't be the goaltender. Yeah, we got to improve the defense here. I don't know what to say about that. So we're just going to kind of pray for a miracle here. Pray that Spencer Knight just wakes up and has some godlike performance. We're dropping game 1, but we are going to respond in game 2. I need a godlike performance in order for us to win here. We've won 2 of the first 3. That's a great start, but we have to win game number 4 here. Game number 4 is probably going to be a deciding game. And we're taking a commanding 3-1 series lead. The boys should be all right. I doubt we're blowing a 3-1 series lead, but anything can happen. This is the beginning of blowing a 3-1 series lead. I see it all happening now. Win game number 6. If we don't win game 6, we're screwed. We're winning 8-4. So we got past the Dallas Stars. The St. Louis Blues with a huge upset over the Winnipeg Jets. So that means we have to take on an elite team like St. Louis. I still haven't gotten over the fact that Robert Thomas is out for the next 6 weeks. Minimum 6 weeks. Bro fractured his ankle, one of the saddest things that's happened in a while, but you know what? He'll bounce back. The Blues will bounce back, but it's going to be tough with Robert Thomas out. So the St. Louis Blues are going to be a tough team. We all know this. One of the best teams of all time, but we're going to steal game number 1 away. Then we're going to steal game 2. We're going to win game number 3. We have a 3-0 series lead. We're taking down St. Louis and we're moving on to the conference finals. I'm very surprised this team's not putting up a bigger fight, but you never know. Maybe they just gave us those first 3 games. Okay, I guess not. We're going to be taking them out in the second round. We're off to the conference finals. So we've made it to the conference finals. It's been a handful of years since we've been here, but since we're here, we might as well just keep on winning. We have the Edmonton Oilers up next. This is going to be a tough task. Like, we haven't been a great defensive team, and now we have to go against one of the best offensive teams. They're scoring 7 goals in game number 1, 8 goals in game number 4. We're fixing the defense over the offseason. That's what's happening. They won with Vejmelka. They just want to stay on the cup with Vejmelka. That didn't just happen. We traded our backup goaltender away for their starter, and they still beat us. So we're improving the defense a ton over the offseason. We're going to trade some of the guys on the bottom 6. We're going to make sure our defense is elite. Because at this point, I'm convinced it's not goaltending. It's got to be the defense. Spencer Knight, you did what you could here. But yeah, these numbers just aren't quite good enough. Like, Vejmelka really did that. He really just won a Stanley Cup after we traded him away. He was our backup goaltender, and then he won a Stanley Cup. I got nothing to say about that. That's just tough. Now, we might have been disappointed in the postseason, but you know what? We're not going to be disappointed in the draft, but we are a little bit. We got a mediumly potential goaltender, but he's a 47 overall. Not a great sign when your goaltender is only a 47 overall. And we're not done with the elite potential players yet, because we're going to be securing another one with the 157th overall. We're getting an offensive defenseman. So Connor Geeky, it doesn't matter how much I want to bring you back to the team. We can't do it. Like, we actually don't have enough money. We have 800k in cap space. With that being said, we'll sign all these young players right here. So we got ourselves a handful of expiring contracts, and honestly, we're going to lose some good pieces. Tisha Ginla, we're not going to be able to afford to keep you on the team here. You're looking for 6.1 million. We only have 4.8 to work with, so unfortunately, you're going to leave after this season. Henry Yokiharu, we actually might trade you away. You're looking for 5.8 million. You probably got yourself a decent amount of trade value. Same with Barrett Hayton. Barrett Hayton, you might get traded away as well, just because we get to capitalize on that trade value. Matt Poitras, I would like to bring you back, but I don't think we're going to be able to. What are you looking for? $5 million, so we can't do that. Yeah, we're going to be making a lot of small deals this offseason. So Barrett Hayton, you played some good years for Utah, but we're going to trade you away over to the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to get a second and third rounder, and then we're going to flip those picks over to the Detroit Red Wings. Because with that second round pick, we're actually going to be picking up a pretty decent prospect here. 79 overall Aston. He's starting off as a 79 overall, and he hasn't even been signed yet, so give him a couple years to develop. He could be a really good player. Unfortunately, a second round pick's not going to be enough here, but we'll throw a 7th into the deal and we'll get it done. So here's a 7th rounder for 2030, and that's going to be enough to get this deal done. Aston, welcome to the team. And because of that money we freed up, Connor Geeky can come back for one more season. We'll do 1.9 million for one season. So he'll return to the team, and then Ginla, Poitras will qualify you guys as RFAs. Lambos will probably be qualified as an RFA picks. I don't think I could sign you long term here. We just don't have the money for everyone. Actually, Lambos, we can definitely sign you $1 million for the next 2 years. Alright, now we're not going to be changing too much with this team because you know what? I like it too much here. I feel like we have an amazing core here, and I feel like we should be able to compete with the best in the entire league. We made it all the way to the conference finals, but the big difference this season, we're going to be holding on to Spencer Knight for the entire year. He's going to be our starting goaltender, and although this man was absolutely terrible during the regular season, I think he's going to figure it out. He's going to have a full year with the club, and we're going to see a lot of success. So after a rough start to the season, Utah's looking pretty solid here, 5th in the entire league, sitting with a 39-18-3 record. The offense is amazing, but the defense is still a question mark for this team. I think we just need an elite defensive defenseman. I think that's what we're missing right now. Lone Cooley, 73 points. You're looking pretty solid. Clayton Keller, 67. The offense isn't a problem on this team. We do have to get better defensively though. So let's try to find an elite defensive defenseman. So here's the deal I'm cooking up. It's going to be Yoki Haru in a 7th round pick over to the Ottawa Senators. We're getting a medium elite potential prospect. Then we're going to flip that prospect. So with that medium elite potential prospect we just got, we'll package up him in a 2nd round pick over to the Calgary Flames. We're going to bring in Smith. He's going to be an elite defensive defenseman for us, and he's going to make the difference. So I'll include a 3rd rounder, and hopefully that's going to be enough to get this deal done. We'll have to throw in a defensive prospect or something, but we have to get this deal done. So here's Connor Geeky. Hopefully that's going to be enough to get this deal done. I'm sending it over. We're just a bit short. A 7th round pick will make the difference. Then we'll be bringing in our elite defensive defenseman. Smith's going to make the difference here. Does he have a good fit here? We're not too sure yet. We'll find out in a little bit. Don't have to throw Connor Zary on waivers. Connor Geeky, I'll take you out of this deal. We'll do something else. Alright, so maybe we can try Connor Geeky to the Carolina Hurricanes and we can get a 2nd round pick here. They're willing to say yes to that. Can I get a 3rd rounder as well? Like, if you give me a 3rd round pick, I'll give you a 6th rounder, and I think this is going to be enough to get this one done. This is going to be big for us. So after all that ridiculous trading, we finally got Hector Smith, only for me to have the recording paused. I'm not going to lie, I have no clue how long it's been paused, but yeah, we finally got the deal done. Hector Smith is now a defenseman for us. So Utah's going to have a strong finish to the season, but you know what? I don't really care too much about the record or the offense. It's all about the defense for this team, and it is slightly better, like the smallest margin, 2.99. I guess we're going to take it. Hector Smith, I'm actually kind of curious what your plus minus was, because that's really what we're going to base it off of. Lone Cooley, 98 points, just 2 points shy of 100. You hate to see it. Dylan Gunther was great though. Clayton Keller was great. Dawson Mercer was great. We have elite scoring here. Like, we know how to score the puck. We just don't know how to keep the puck out of our own net. And then when it comes to Smith, we'll see what his plus minus was. He was plus 10, and you know what? I'll definitely take that. Plus 10 in 22 games. Bro was looking elite here. Goaltending was looking fantastic for this team. All we need to do is win a Stanley Cup. But it's not going to be easy. Our 1st round matchup's going to have us going against the Colorado Avalanche. We lost to the Edmonton Oilers in the conference finals last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened again. Now I should rephrase that. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost to the Edmonton Oilers in the conference finals. I wouldn't be surprised if we met up against that team in the conference finals again, because you know Edmonton's going to be elite. We're splitting the first 2 games. Game number 3 is going to be a big win for us, but unfortunately we're going to drop game number 4, so we're down to a best of 3. Game 5 is going to decide who's going to have the lead in the series entering the final 2 games, and it looks like it's going to be the Utah Hockey Club. So all we have to do is close it out in this final game right here, but of course that's not going to happen. We got to go to game 7 here, and that's got to decide this. So here we go, game 7. This is going to decide who goes to the 2nd round. Slafkovsky is going to start us off with a massive goal. In the second, Slafkovsky is going to pick up another goal, but Colorado's going to be picking up 2 goals. The 3rd period is going to decide this game, and you know what? The offense is going to wake up for this team. 3 unanswered in the 3rd period, and we're off to the 2nd round. So we've advanced to the 2nd round. We're going to see the Minnesota Wild. They're coming off a 7-game series. Every single series in the Western Conference went to 7 games, and I think every single one went to the favorite. It's kind of interesting. So we got past Colorado. It was a tough series, but you know what? We got past them. That's all that matters. We're going to be exchanging the first 2 games, and then game number 3 is going to be a massive win. We're going to keep that momentum going. Can we take the Minnesota Wild down in 5 games and move on to the conference finals for our rematch against the Edmonton Oilers? Not quite yet. We're going to close down game number 6 though. I have full faith in the Utah Hockey Club, and it's not going to be the Edmonton Oilers, but instead the Vancouver Canucks. You know what? The boys got some momentum right now, and they don't want to slow down. We're winning 2 straight games. Make that 3 straight games. Why not a sweep over the Vancouver Canucks? We're back in the Stanley Cup final. It's been a handful of years since we've been to the Stanley Cup final, but you know what? Utah's back here. We're going to win game number 1, but we're going to drop 2 straight after that. Luckily, game 4 is going to be going to us, so we're down to a best of 3. A best of 3 moving on. Who can win the next 2? Well, Florida's winning one of them, so we better respond. So Utah, you got to win this game. This game is going to decide the Stanley Cup. Are we going to be winning or are we going to be losing? Well, we're not doing so well in the 2nd period, giving up 3 goals here. I need a massive 3rd period. We need some goal scoring to happen here, and that's exactly what's happening. 3 unanswered here. Busnevich picking up the winner over Vmelka. Yeah, the boys are hot right now. So we got game 7. The winner's the Stanley Stanley Cup champion. Florida's picking up the first goal. Of course, it's going to be Carver Hagee. Moved into the second period. Alexander Ovechkin scoring for Florida. No, this is unfair, but Dylan Guenther is going to pick up a power play goal. In the last game, we showed up in the third period, and hopefully we're going to be doing that again here. We sort of are, and actually that's exactly what we're doing. We're picking up 3 goals to their 2. We're off to overtime. The OT winner is going to decide the Stanley Cup champion. Of course, it's Sam Reinhart. Why did it have to be Sam Reinhart? Honestly, I would have been fine with anyone else, but not Sam Reinhart. I don't hate Sam Reinhart or anything. I would have just preferred anybody else scoring that OT winner. Sam Reinhart's going to end it, and we're losing in the Stanley Cup final. You hate to see it, you really do. You know what? That was a tough loss. The boys looked absolutely fantastic. We were 1 goal away from being Stanley Cup champions. I can't ask too much more. We're going to be losing some important pieces though. Spencer Knight, you were incredible in the postseason. 1 goal away. 1 more goal and we're Stanley Cup champions. But you know what? Things have to change here. It's not like I want to make any changes, but we just have to. Ginla's going to be leaving the team. That's going to be a massive loss. We're losing a couple other pieces as well. We certainly won't be the same team. Doesn't mean we're not going to be as dominant though, because we'll still find a way to compete. So late in the draft, we are going to get a medium top 6 potential player, Fenton. You never know what these late draft picks are going to turn into, but you know what? He's got medium top 6 potential, so he could be a good player, or he could be a massive bust. Then again, I drafted him in the 4th round. You're not really getting a bust in the 4th round. Now, if we get a low lead potential player here, this guy could be really solid for us. Low top 9. That's a bit of a disappointment. So of course, we're qualifying the RFAs here, but we're not going to be able to bring him back. Ginla, where are you looking for yourself? Because I know for a fact we can't afford you. 7.6 million. Do we trade Dawson Mercer and keep Ginla on this team? Like, we technically could trade Dawson Mercer away and then we would have enough money, but I don't know if it's worth it. Alright, so Buchnevich, you're one of my favorite players, a St. Louis Blues legend. However, you're 34 years old. Right now, your trade value is still pretty high. You're 90 overall. Making this move definitely doesn't make us better. However, if we move Ginla into the top 6, it might make us better. So I'm going to offer this over. The Washington Capitals are going to say no to that, but we got some draft picks we can work with. We don't have too many draft picks, but we have a few. Here's a 2nd rounder, and now Washington's going to accept. So with that freed up cap space we have, Ginla's coming back to the team. So this is what Ginla's deal is going to be. It's going to be $8.2 million for 1 season. Then we're going to have to work with them in the future and get a long-term deal done. But for this 1 season, I can live with that. Matt Poitras, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to afford to bring you back here, so I will have to trade you away. So Matt Poitras, I'm not going to be able to afford to bring you back here, so I'm going to trade you over to the Penguins for 2 2nd-round picks. Those 2nd-round picks are going to be helpful in us building up our prospect pool. So Ronnie Rizzi, it's time for you to finally jump to the lineup. It's going to be 2.2 for the next 2 years. That's going to be your extension, so we'll have you locked down for the next 3. When it comes to the rest of the players right here, I think we're just going to let them walk. If we're able to qualify you as an RFA, you're going to be a valuable asset. But outside of that, we're just going to be riding out contracts. And that includes Connor Ingram's. He's not coming back to the team next season. Alright, so Ginla basically refused to accept that last offer, so now we're going to give him less money. Like, significantly less. We're doing $6 million for 1 year. He's going to be accepting that one, and he basically just gave up $2 million. I mean, it works for me. I'm not going to complain. Now, Voronkov, originally, I didn't think he would be coming back to this team, but a 3x3 is actually really good for you, 85 overall, so I'm definitely fine with that. Carcone, on the other hand, you will be leaving. Like, I'm just not going to pay you to stay on this team. Last season, we were able to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Unfortunately, we're losing in Game 7 to a Sam Reinhart overtime goal, but things are going to be different. Again, you're jumping into the top 6 here. The top 6 is still looking amazing. The bottom 6 is looking amazing as well. We don't have too many weaknesses here. When it comes to the defense, spectacular like usual, and then when it comes to goaltending, amazing. Nothing's going to stop this team. And you know what? I think we're just going to simulate right to the end of the season. We're going to be a top 5 team. There's no doubt in my mind we're not going to be one of the best teams. Yeah, so it turns out Voronkov wasn't actually really interested in that 3x3, and now he wants $5.5 million for 1 season. That's a tough one. So again, you know what? I want to make sure you're sticking on this team. So it's going to be $9.9 million for the next 4 years. And by the time we're able to give you another deal, we're going to be able to give you a no movement clause. And that's going to bring your asking price down quite a bit. Voronkov, I'm actually really curious with you. Have you smartened up a little bit? Okay, now you're asking for $7 million for the next 3. We'll just ride your contract out. So Utah was the best team in the entire league, but not by wins, by overtime losses. We lost 13 games in overtime. But you know what? That's not a bad sign, because that means we're losing games 3-on-3. We're winning games 5-on-5. But the one thing I do have to point out, the spectacular defense. Smith, you were the big difference maker. Hector Smith is an absolute legend. For as long as we can keep this man on our team, we're going to be able to, as long as he's asking for a reasonable price. Again, I'm really happy I traded Buchnevich away and kept you on this team. 90 points, 44 goals, 46 helpers. This team's locked in. The Utah Hockey Club might have been upset in the postseason last year, but not again. We're not going to allow that to happen. This team's going to step up in the big time moments. We're starting off with the Dallas Stars. So we lost the Stanley Cup last season by 1 goal. So you know what? We're going to win game number 1 by 1 goal. Utah knows what they have to do this time. Okay, we just allowed 8 goals and we allowed 2 goals and lost that game. All right, so maybe I got a bit too far ahead of myself here. Maybe I'm a bit too confident with Utah. We got to take it one game at a time here. Game number 5 is going to be a massive one. Is Utah going to be showing up in this one? Yes, we are. We close out in game 6. I don't necessarily want to go to game 7 here, especially with the way Utah's been playing. But of course, we're off to game 7 because why wouldn't we be? So here we go, Utah. You're taking on the Dallas Stars. We allowed 2 goals in the first period. Okay, not what we're looking to do here. We technically allowed 3 unanswered goals. I need a massive third period from the boys. We lost 5-1. What happened to that elite defense? Like seriously, 5 goals allowed here, 4 goals allowed here, 8 goals allowed here. We were the best defensive team by far. We were one of the best offensive teams. And all that disappeared once we got to game number 1. You hate to see it. Yeah, so just about everything went wrong during the postseason, so I'm not going to judge the team based on their stats. We know for a fact Spencer Knight's going to look terrible here, but we were great during the regular season. Something clearly happened in the playoffs though. So after the first round exit, we're going to get something good in the first round. We're getting a lowly potential player, 66 overall. He was a gem, a good defensive defenseman. But yeah, this doesn't make up for us losing in the first round. I'm still not happy about that. But you know what? What's better than 1 gem? Picking up 2 gems in the draft. We're getting another lowly potential player, but this one's an offensive defenseman. At this point, just let the gems continue. We're getting a mediumly potential sniper here, 51 overall, who is also a gem. I would have preferred this guy though, who's a 62 overall, but you know what? We'll take it. We know Voronkov's not coming back to the team. Carcon's not coming back to the team. This defenseman, we no longer need his services, so he's not coming back to the team. Harrison Aston, of course, I'll give you your entry-level contract, so you're going to be joining the team here. There is going to be a handful of guys leaving. Like a lot of these guys who have bottom 6 potential or 7th potential, I'm not going to bother re-signing them. So it's time for us to start giving up the big extensions. Logan Cooley, Mo Sider, Sergachev, Dawson Mercer, all of you guys have to come back. But the most important, probably Smith. I'm not going to lie. We have to make sure he's returning to this team. So Smith, you're going to be the first guy we re-sign here. I don't care if you're not the highest overall. You might only be an 83 overall, but we're locking you down. It's going to be 4.7 for the next 5. With guys like Logan Cooley, I feel like it should be pretty easy to get deals done as long as they look for more than 1 year. So we're going to have to wait a little bit. Mo Sider, please ask for more than 1 year here. You're looking for 8 years at $12 million. What if I give you no movement? So after some amazing negotiations, Mo Sider's coming back to the team, 7.1 for the next 8. We're saving $5 million, less than what he's getting paid right now. So Mo Sider's going to help the team out a ton. Sergachev, where are you going to be looking for? We're going to have to do a somewhat short-term deal. Or do I trade you away? Because you're 32 years old, you have exact franchise potential right now. You would have a lot of trade value. You have a 16-team no trade. We could trade you over somewhere, get a really good young player. We might do that. So we're going to keep Dawson Mercer on the team, but he's going to have a 20-team no trade. It's going to be $7.4 million for the next 8 years. It's about $2.2 million more than what he's getting paid right now, but considering how much money we're saving with Mo Sider, I'm perfectly fine with that. So here's what I'm looking at. Sergachev, I trade you over to the Red Wings. We bring in Bloomquist. Now he signed for the next 5 years at $8.1 million. He's a 91 overall, a good offensive defenseman. The only issue we have with a guy like this, we don't necessarily know if he's going to fit on our top pairing. Now if he doesn't fit on the top pairing, that's not really the end of the world here. We're going to get 2 first rounders and a second rounder as well. I'm willing to take that risk. We'll take the second round pick out of this deal. I want to get those 2 first rounders though. Now if I have to go up a second round pick in order to get 2 first round picks, I'm perfectly fine with that. We're just going to do a bit of swapping picks here. So I'll give you the Penguins second rounder, and then this should be enough, except we're a little bit low. We're not low by too much though. Here's the 7th rounder from the Colorado Avalanche, and we're getting this deal done. So Carson Lambos, unfortunately you're not going to return to the team because I can't give you $5.2 million. We will keep you on the team for this season though. Larmore, I'm not really too sure if we're going to keep you as well. You're looking for $4.9 million. We're going to hold off on that one. I don't really want to give you that much money, especially if you're still playing bottom 6 minutes. Akuratu, honestly, I'm perfectly fine with you staying on this team. You play some good bottom 6 minutes, so here's $2 million for the next 2 seasons. So last season was a massive disappointment, and we all know it. However, we have a majority of the team coming back, so I'm expecting us to do some big things here. The bottom 6 might not be as strong, but I think you can make the argument our defense is a bit stronger. Bloomquist, I need you to do some big things for us, and I know you're going to be able to. Spencer Knight, I need another incredible season. We have ourselves a great backup goaltender. No weaknesses on this team whatsoever, so I'm expecting us to perform maybe even 60 wins this season. Okay, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. We're going to be an elite team once again. Now at face value, this looks a bit concerning. Not having enough money for Logan Cooley. Let's negotiate that, give him a no movement clause, and we'll get that significantly lower. So Logan Cooley, we had a quick discussion. We're saving $3 million on your contract. It's going to be 8.3 for the next 7 seasons. We're keeping you around on this team. So last season, the Utah Hockey Club wasn't good enough to win it. This season, I think we are. 59, 18, and 5. The offense better than ever. The defense took a slight step back from last season. season, but it's still looking elite. 2.78 allowed, I can live with that. Clayton Keller, it's a career year from you, 122 points. Dylan Gunther, 109 points, a career year from him as well. The entire team's having career years. You'll love to see it. And then goaltending, Spencer Knight, you've been elite so far, but can you continue to be elite into the postseason? We're going to need you to stand on your head here, especially in this first round matchup. We got the St. Louis Blues. Like, the St. Louis Blues aren't going to be a joke. Luckily, we're stealing game number 1 from them. I don't even know how we're doing that. Like, the fact that we're beating a team that has Robert Thomas, very surprising. But we've won 2 of the first 3 so far. Game number 4 is going to be a massive one, and it looks like Utah found an answer for Robert Thomas. He just can't produce against this team right now. That's very surprising for Robert Thomas. It looks like our dominance against Robert Thomas is going to continue into game number 5. We're going to shut the St. Louis Blues out, and Utah's not stopping anytime soon. So with that win over the St. Louis Blues, I don't think any team's going to be able to stop us. Minnesota's up next, and they're not even going to be able to compete with us. So if the St. Louis Blues can't beat us, no team's going to be able to beat us. We're taking game number 1 against Minnesota. Make that game 2 as well. Can we take game 3? How about we just sweep the Minnesota Wild? The boys aren't stopping here. A sweep over the Minnesota Wild is going to send us to the conference finals. We might have lost in the first round last season, but you know what? Things have changed here. And the Utah Hockey Club refuses to quit. Win game number 1 against Edmonton. Are we going to have a 3-1 series lead? Yes, we are. One more win is going to send us to the Stanley Cup final, but it's not going to be in game number 5. It will be in game 6, though. We're not blowing a 3-1 series lead. Please don't blow a 3-1 series lead. Like, don't blow a 3-1 series lead. We can't blow a 3-1 series lead. Clayton Keller in the big moments you're showing up for this team. I got to take it all back. We're trailing by 1 goal now. Are we going to see a huge collapse here? Nope, because we're going to show up in the 3rd period. We're winning 6-4. That was way too close. Now there's only one team that stands in front of us, and that's the Buffalo Sabres. And you know what? I don't think the Utah Hockey Club is going to lose to the Buffalo Sabres. We dropped game number 1, but who cares? Because the defense has been lights out. We're not allowing any goals in this series, and that's going to continue into game number 5. The Utah Hockey Club back on top, but we're not done here. Of course, we're winning next season. We're winning the year after and the year after. Let's complete the first ever 9-peat. I'm talking about a 9-peat after winning 1 Stanley Cup, even though we haven't won in like 6 seasons. Clayton Keller, he's going to be leading the way, 36 points. He was lights out. Dylan Gunther was amazing. Slafkovsky was amazing. Iginla was amazing. He's got a superstar X factor, 90 overall. Good thing we kept this man on the team, and good thing we traded for this man right here. Spencer Knight, 16 wins, 1 shout, a 906 and a 269. Utah's been unstoppable the past couple years, and you know what? We're not really going to be losing too many people over the offseason, so we're going to be competing once again. On top of that, we're also going to be getting the 12th overall pick from the Detroit Red Wings. We just keep on winning here. So with the 12th overall pick, we are going to be getting a decent player. We're going to be getting a 66 overall with medium top 6 potential. More than likely in the future, he'll only end up being a bottom 6 player for us, but still, he could develop into a really good player. If only we had gotten Sundqvist, the guy that just got drafted here, 79 overall, he would have been a great pickup. But you know what? You can't always get the superstar players, but we might have just got another one here. If we're lucky, this low elite potential player is going to start off as a 75 overall. I highly doubt it, but you never know. He's a 64 overall, and the boys are just going to keep on winning because now we're going to be adding a medium top 4 potential defenseman to the team. So one thing we don't have enough of right now, medium elite potential goaltenders, so we're going to secure another one here with the 160th overall. So we really don't have too much cap space to work with, so that means we're just going to be qualifying RFAs here. Larmore, we're going to qualify you. Carson Lambos, you have exact elite potential now. Don't know how that works. There is this young defenseman we could sign to the team. I think he does fit on the 3rd pairing, and you know what? That's what we're going to do. We're going to lock him down for the next 2 years at 1.5 million. That's going to be an incredible deal for us. And then if I'm being honest, that's really the only guys we have to focus on. Okay, Ronald Rizzi, I'm not going to lie. When I saw no, I don't want an extension, I thought it was going to be impossible to get this done. But you know what? It is going to be very possible. So we're going to do 4.3 for the next 2 years. That's using up basically half of our cap space. Now, Wallander, I really don't know how we're going to bring you back. Like, you're looking for 6.4 million. You only have 5.2 to work with. Actually, this might be possible. So Wallander, we're somehow going to lock you down for less than what you're getting paid right now. 4.4 for the next 5, a full no movement clause. You're an A7 overall. You're a key piece to this team, and I want to make sure you're sticking around. So Carcillo just got drafted 1st overall by the Chicago Blackhawks, but they have quite a bit of cap space. So would you be interested in Larmore? I think we might be able to get this deal done 1-for-1. They're saying it's a bit low, so a 7th round will make the difference. After making this deal, we're basically ready to run it back. There's nothing else we have to do. Okay, they want 2 7th round picks. So 2 7th round picks will get this deal done. Carcillo, you're going to be joining this team. You're going to be a great player for us. So the top 6 just keeps getting better here. Like, I didn't think it would be possible to have a top 6 this good, but here we are. The bottom 6 looking amazing. The defense is looking amazing. The defense is elite. like 93 overall, 95 overall, 95 overall. It's getting ridiculous out here. And then 89 overall Spencer Knight, we already know what we're doing this season. We're going back to back. So we all know what's on the line here. Utah's looking to repeat a 55-19-8 record. We're first in the entire league once again. Minnesota might have been better offensively than us, but we're better defensively. And when the postseason comes around, you have to be elite defensively, and that's what we are. Clayton Keller's once again going to lead the way here with 106 points, also picking up 47 goals. Dylan Gunther 30 goals. Lone Cooley 26 goals. Again, let's picking up 40. Slakowski's picking up 27. This team's picking up points here, and Bloomquist, what a fantastic pickup you were. 93 overall, picking up 67 points. He's leading the defense here. And then when it comes to goaltending, Spencer Knight, I rely on you every single season, and I'm going to rely on you again here. I know you can step up in these big time moments. You've done it before. We're looking to keep on winning here. We got the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. Do what you guys have to do. So we know Utah's going to dominate the Winnipeg Jets here. More than likely, it's probably going to be a sweep over Winnipeg. We're winning game number 1. We're moving into game number 2. We're going to drop that one though. Okay, we got to be a bit concerned here. Maybe not. We're going to be shutting them out in game number 3. The defense has been looking pretty solid so far, and it continues to look solid. Besides game number 2, the defense has been immaculate on this team, and I assume that's going to continue into game number 5 here. Another 4-1 victory. So we've moved into the conference finals. We're 4-1 in the postseason. The defense has been looking immaculate. It's going to continue against Minnesota. That's going to be the difference in this series. How good is our defense going to be? If our defense is elite, we'll win. We scored 9 goals in game number 1. All right, as long as the offense is elite too, we'll be winning games. We allowed 7 goals in game number 3. I'm a bit concerned. We're down to a best of 3. Defense wins this series, and we got to be elite defensively. Game number 5 is going to be going to us, and can game number 6 go to us? If we beat Minnesota, we're Stanley Cup bound, and that's going to be happening. I'm not scared of any teams remaining. We have the Seattle Kraken up next. Seattle will probably be a sweep over you guys. I'm not scared of you in the slightest. It's a sweep over the Seattle Kraken, and we're in the Stanley Cup final. The only team that put any fear in my heart was the Minnesota Wild. We're going to take them out. We're going to sweep the Seattle Kraken, and now we're in the Stanley Cup final. And who do we have in the Stanley Cup final? Surprisingly, not the Florida Panthers, the team I thought it would be. Instead, we got the Carolina Hurricanes. Defense is once again going to win us this series. And you know what? We've been elite offensively too. Nothing can stop this Utah team. We're going back to back here. Next season, it's the three-peat. Offensively, we were amazing once again. Defensively, we're amazing. But I think it was more the defense this time. Like, yeah, offense was great and everybody was scoring on this team. But we went 16-4 in the postseason, so clearly Spencer Knight had to be the guy. A 927 and a 214. Thank you for stepping up in the big time moments. Now, there's one thing I haven't really talked about, but it's the fact that we owned the Detroit Red Wings first round pick. Now, what's that pick going to turn into? Hopefully something pretty valuable. Only the 16th overall. I was kind of hoping for a top 5 pick, not going to lie. So at face value, you might be thinking, we just got Joe Sakic. Unfortunately, it's not Joe Sakic. It's actually Jay Sakic. But you know what? Bro's still going to be a stud. Okay, this is just an elite name. Adamski. Yeah, Adamski, you have to turn into an elite player just because of the name. Ricky Adamski. Oh, that's a superstar right there. Now, we're going to get multiple lowly potential players here, but the big player is coming in the 6th round. Now, I drafted this guy, and he was projected to have low franchise potential. Is he actually going to have that? Probably not, but you know what? We can always hope for the best here. It turns out he's going to have low elite. Hey, I'll still take that. So we got some young players to sign, and Del Rio, you could be a good player for us in the future. We're signing you to your entry-level contract right now, and you're already an 80 overall. So that's a great sign for you. Even this guy right here, 74 overall lowly potential at 19 years old. That's potential if I've ever seen it. Now when it comes to a guy like Cole Beaudoin, you know what? You play good bottom 6 minutes for us. I'm not going to have to pay you too much, so I guess you can come back to this team. We'll do 1.5 for the next 2 years. So Cole Beaudoin, he's going to return. Ekberg, I'm not too sure about you. I think we're just going to qualify you as an RFA and then let you walk or something. I mean, I guess we won't let you walk if we qualify you as an RFA. I'll trade you away. So here's where the big moves are happening. Sean Durzi, Dylan Gunther, Slakowski. I got to make sure all you guys are sticking around here. Well, maybe not Sean Durzi. I think we're going to trade him away. Because Sean Durzi, he's 33 years old. He's got franchise potential. We could get a handful of assets for him. The real guys we have to pay attention to, Dylan Gunther, Slakowski, these are guys that need to come back to the team. So we're going to finalize this deal with Dylan Gunther. It's going to be $9.6 million for the next 7 years, a full no movement clause for all 7 years. That's going to keep you on the team till you're like 37, 38. So that might be a bit too long, but you know what? You're performing for us, and you're going to continue to perform. Slakowski, we're doing the exact same thing with you. And then with Slakowski, we're going to lock him down to an 8x8 here, so that's going to be another amazing deal. However, it is sad that we're going to be losing a guy like Sean Durzi, but we don't have to worry. We're going to bring in some elite players. So here's the trade I'm thinking about. Connor Bedard, we can trade for you. We have the assets to trade for you. It's going to be Sean Dursey, and instead of doing Dylan Gunther, we're actually going to go with Dawson Mercer instead, because that deal makes a lot more sense. Now the thing is with this deal, the only problem with this deal is Chicago doesn't want to accept it because they want to make sure they have enough RFA space. That logic doesn't make any sense to me, so we're getting Bedard, a first and 2 second rounders instead of multiple first round picks. They're going to say no to that. I'm taking the second round route. I am willing to get finessed in this deal. I'm willing to get half as much as I should just so we can get this deal done. I am perfectly fine with getting finessed here. So like when we talk about our top 6, we're looking at Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther, Bedard, Iginla, Slafkovsky. That's our top 6. Then we have Josh Doan making 2.7 million and Rizzy making 4.3. So yeah, they can hold it down the bottom 6. The bottom 6 is still looking good. We'll have a couple young guys jump to the lineup. Now the only question is our defense a bit too weak here? I don't think so. I think we can rock with what we have. Bloomquist, Mo Sider, Wallander, whoever this guy's name, probably should learn at some point. Smith, and then one of these young guys. Yeah, the second pairing might be a bit weak, but we're rocking 294s. Like, I think we should be okay. No, I'm not gonna lie, this is a bit unfortunate because I was just trying to hype this man up, but Ronald Rizzy, we can't afford to keep you on this team. By bringing in Connor Bedard, we do have to free up some cap space, so we're going to send you over to the Colorado Avalanche. We're getting 2 third-round picks for you. It's a sad day, but you know what? We had to make that move. But with that freed up cap space, Protas, I'll bring you to the team. We'll do, what, $3.1 million for one season. I'll make that $3.2 million for one season. You'll play some bottom 6 minutes, and now we're ready to win. So it's time to start a dialogue. Is this the greatest top 6 of all time? Logan Cooley, Connor Bedard, Slafkovsky, Clayton Keller, Iginla, Dylan Gunther. This is the greatest top 6 you've ever seen, and I will never build a greater top 6 than this. I decided to rock Smith on the first pairing, and the only reason I'm doing that is a better line fit. If he plays on the second pairing, we're not getting a boost at all here. But you know what? Let's rock these guys on the top pairing. At the end of the day, I don't think line chemistry means anything anymore. Look at how good our team is. We could have terrible line chemistry. We're still going to win games here. Like, I'm pretty sure we could have a -3 boost on every single pairing, and we'll still be top 3 in the entire league. Alright, so Utah, this was a massive disappointment. Second in the entire league. What are we doing here? 4.43? I'm perfectly fine with that. The defense, 2.7. Okay, how are we not first? This doesn't make any sense. Were we the best defensive team? Yes, we were. Were we the best offensive team? Yes, we were. Second in the entire league. This game confused me, but Connor Bedard, what'd you do since joining the team here? You were actually a massive disappointment. Only 82 points. Yeah, you had 51 goals and led the way, but 82 points? Nah, you gotta be doing better than that. I'll take 51 goals though. I won't complain about that, but I was expecting a bit more, not gonna lie. Spencer Knight, you continue to look great here, but this team has to look great in the postseason, and we gotta take on the St. Louis Blues again. It's never easy. St. Louis is just one of those teams that you know is going to put up a big fight. We're going to win game number 1 5-3. Moving into game number 2, we're beating them 5-0. All right, maybe St. Louis can't compete with us. Maybe Robert Thomas isn't him anymore. Granted, at this point, I think Robert Thomas would be pushing like 38 years old. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that he's not really competing, but that doesn't matter. We're moving on to the second round now. We got the Minnesota Wild up next. We've taken on Minnesota a lot in this video, and we beat Minnesota a lot. So let's just keep doing that. So Minnesota, are you going to be able to compete with us? Okay, you picked up 5 goals in game number 1 and you took game number 1. So I'm slightly concerned. Never mind, I'm not concerned anymore. We won 3 in a row. Let's make it 4 in a row and take down the Minnesota Wild. Just like that, Minnesota's falling. We're back in the conference finals. Let's just keep on rolling here. Utah's got all the momentum. I don't want to stop here. We got the Edmonton Oilers up next. We'll take Edmonton down in a sweep and move on to the Stanley Cup final. No team is going to be able to compete with us. Hold on, what's going to happen in game number 4 here? Maybe I'm a bit too confident in my team, and it looks like I am. Game number 5 is going to be a deciding one, but of course, we're going to be stealing that one away, and then we're going to steal game 6 away, move on to the Stanley Cup final. Utah is never going to stop. This team is just clearly built different. With the top 6 we have, nobody's going to be able to stop us. And then next season, we have to give Connor Bedard an extension. I guarantee we could probably do that for less than $10 million. Connor Bedard's going to be happy he joined the Utah Hockey Club. He's finally seen success here. We just about got swept. I spoke way too soon. We're off to game 5 elimination. I'm talking about how Connor Bedard wants to re-sign with the team, yet we're about to lose here in the Stanley Cup final, but Connor Bedard's showing up and the whole team's showing up. We're forcing game 6. So can we make the 3-1 series comeback? I fully believe we can do so. We're picking up 3 goals in the first period. The offense just keeps on rolling here. As long as the offense continues to look good, we're beating Ottawa. Like, I'm going to be honest, I have no clue how the Senators were able to steal 3 games away from us. We are not a team that's going to lose 3 games out of 4. We just don't do that here. We're moving into game number 7. 2 goals in the first period, another goal in the second period. We just keep on scoring. We can't be stopped. Clayton Keller, the empty net goal wasn't really needed, but you know what? We're making the 3-1 series comeback, and we're Stanley Cup champs. Is that the 3-peat? I believe we just completed a 3-peat. You love to see it. The only reason I don't know if we just completed a three-peat was I took like a 3-hour break and I just came back, and I don't recall what happened in the last season. I do think we won a Stanley Cup though. Aginla, 25 points. He was looking great. Clayton Keller, 24 points. Connor Bedard, 9 goals, 11 assists, 20 points, but he was -2. I don't care about the plus minuses. We're Stanley Cup champions. Spencer Knight, you've done it yet again here. He's looking absolutely fantastic in the regular season, and just look at these postseason numbers. Bro's incredible, and yes, that was a three-peat. You'll love to see it. So the boys have completed a three-peat, but didn't I say we were going for a 9-peat? We can't stop now. Okay, so we're trading up to the 5th overall pick because I want to get a mediumly potential player here. I'm giving up the 32nd overall pick as well. I'm perfectly fine with that. We're jumping 2 spots, but it's going to be well worth it. Because by jumping 2 spots, where are we going to be getting a mediumly potential player? As I mentioned, Sniper. He's starting off as a 78 overall. Give him 2 more years to develop, then he can jump into the lineup. Alright, so here's the cap situation. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to bring back this lowly potential defenseman. We don't have enough money for them, so they're going to be walking. Akuratu, I don't think we have the money for you. Where are you looking for? 3.2 million. I can't do that right now. Ekberg, where are you going to be looking for? You didn't play for me last season. I guess we can do 1.6 million. I mean, to play some bottom 6 minutes, that's not the end of the world. Aston, I need you to come back at a cheap price as well. 2.3 million. We have $4 million in cap space, and we have to basically sign everyone for the 4th line. We need deals like this. Protas, 1.2 million. Steal of a deal. So Connor Bedard, this is exactly why I brought you to the team, because I knew we would be able to do a deal like this. 12.2 million for the next 6. Wait until I give you that no movement. And because we're a respectable team and Connor Bedard wants to come back to the team, 9.2 million for the next 6. $5 million less than what he's getting paid right now. And because of that deal, Aginla, we're going to lock you down long term. We're going to have to hold off a little bit. It needs to be long term. Moving on over to Spencer Knight. You're 32 years old. I don't know how many great years you have left in you, but you certainly have 3. So we'll do a 3-year deal, but it's going to be a modified no trade clause. So with Spencer Knight, this is what we're going to do, saving $2.5 million, 5.6 for the next 3 years, 1.4 less than what you're getting paid right now, so that's a great deal. So basically through the Connor Bedard extension and the Spencer Knight extension, we're saving money so far. So that's a great sign. Josh Stone, I know for a fact we can't get you for $2.7 million. You're looking for $8 million. I think we're probably just going to trade you away. Carcillo, of course, we're just going to ride out your contract. We have your RFA rights. Bodouin will ride out your contract. This young defenseman right here, though, we could do a long-term deal. Actually, it might not be a long-term deal, but it will be 2 years at 1.3 million. You're probably going to be stepping up for the defense pretty quick. And then we're doing the exact same with Krupp here. It's 1.3 for the next 2. Another really cheap deal. So Josh Stone, we know you're not going to come back to the team, but we can pick up Slaney from the San Jose Sharks. He's an 88 overall with 2 years left on his entry-level contract. Yeah, I have to do this deal right here. I don't even know if Bro fits on the bottom 6. We'll deal with that at a later time. So here's a 2nd rounder as well, because I know for a fact they're going to want a 2nd rounder, and we're getting this deal done. Well, we know it's on the line. The 4-peat. Plain and simple. This team's going for a 4-peat. We're going to score a lot of goals here. We're going to keep the puck out of our net because we are so elite defensively, it makes absolutely no sense. Smith, you're actually going to play in the first pairing this season. I don't recall if you played there last season. I don't even remember what the defensive pairings were last season. All I know is this team's incredibly good, and we're going to keep on being good. So Utah is just that special team. 63 wins this time, 4.68 goals scored, 2.66 allowed. We already know we're winning a Stanley Cup here. Logan Cooley, you're the best player this season, 119 points. Connor Bedard, 101 points, 54 goals. That's what I'm looking for when it comes to you. But no, this team is really special. Like, we are not going to be stopped here. Lundstrom, this is a bit nerve-wracking. You're 79 overall and you had terrible numbers this season, because I'm thinking you could potentially be the starter for us in the future, so I need better numbers. We have the Seattle Kraken in the first round. We are going to do something I have never done before. I'm not simulating the first round. I'm not simulating the second. I'm not simulating the third. We're simulating the postseason. That's how confident I am. So we're going to sit back and enjoy lost game number 1. Okay, I am slightly concerned now. Just the smallest bit concerned. But you know what? It looks like we're turning it around here. But no, ain't no way I got confident enough to simulate the entire postseason for us to lose game number 1. We're going to take Seattle out here. We're going to close it out in 5 games. We're moving on to the second round. We're moving on to the Minnesota Wild. We're beating Minnesota. We don't lose to the Minnesota Wild. We drop game number 1 and game number 2. Hold on, wait a minute. We got to stop here in round number 2 because things are getting a bit too serious. We've fallen to a 3-1 deficit against the Minnesota Wild. We shouldn't lose to Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't beat Utah. It is a known fact that the Minnesota Wild have never won a game against the Utah Hockey Club, and you're telling me they're about to eliminate us here in the second round? Connor Bedard, Dylan Guenther, score some goals here. I know you can. We lost 6-3. Ain't no way. We lost in 5 games to Minnesota. We were going for the 4-peat this season. I was so confident I was about to simulate the entire postseason, and we lost in 5 games to the Minnesota Wild in the second round. Not the conference finals, not the Stanley Cup final. We lost to them in the second round. Utah, you have disappointed me so much I can't even form words here. The Ottawa Senators are Stanley Cup champions. I'm hurt. I truly am. Like Utah, these are the big time moments you're supposed to show up in. Slavkovsky, Logan Cooley, Connor Bedard. Where were you guys? Where was the bottom six? Our elite bottom six vanished. Our goaltending vanished. Maybe the boys were just tired. Like, we won 3 straight Stanley Cups. We went on a ton of deep playoff runs. The boys just ran out of gas. Now, before we get to the draft, we better make sure we don't forget about this. Again, let's coming back to the team. $9.2 million for the next 7 years. We're doing a modified no trade clause here, just in case we want to trade him down the line. I'm not making the same mistake I did with Dylan Guenther, even though that's not really a mistake. But I am paying this man until he's like 35 years old. Like Clayton Keller, you actually might be getting traded pretty quick. You're 35 years old. We might be moving on. So we got to bounce back big time. That was a disappointing second round loss, but you know what? I know the boys will get back. A lowly potential defenseman in the second round, that's a great start. And you know what else is great? Picking up a mediumly potential goaltender. So it looks like we're going to get more than one mediumly potential goaltender. We're going to get a second one here, but this guy also happened to be a gem. And then of course, we have to finish this draft off with another gem. Boychuk, lowly potential, 51 overall playmaker. So we have a couple guys we got to bring back when it comes to the fourth line. I'm talking about Protas, I'm talking about Bo Duin, Ekberg, Aston. We got to bring all you guys back here. Carcillo, more than likely we're not going to keep you on this team. You're only looking for 6.6 million. I don't hate that deal for a bottom six guy. It is a bit expensive, so we're going to qualify you as an RFA and then trade you away. Protas, where you can be looking for here, 2.3 million. I can do 2.1 million. So there's 2.1 billion for 1 year. That's not a bad deal in the slightest. Bo Duin, where are you going to be looking for? Hopefully it's going to be something similar. 2.8 million. How about 2.6 million? 2.6 for the next 3. You're still a good bottom six piece for us. Ekberg, I'd like to keep you around as well, but $3 million, that's a bit expensive. I think we're going to let you walk. And then Aston, where are you going to be looking for here? 2.3 million. We can do that. All right, so Clayton Keller, you're on the final year of your contract, but you still have exact franchise potential, so I think we're going to trade you away. Bloomquist, of course, we're keeping you on this team. $15 million is quite a bit, but you know what? You're one of the best defensemen in the league. I have to keep you on this team. I'll give you a no movement clause and everything, so we should be able to get that down a little bit. So Bloomquist, I'm going to lock you down for the rest of your prime. It's going to be 12.8 million for the next 7 years, a no movement clause in all 7 years. You're going to stick around this team, and you're going to continue to help us win Stanley Cups here. Clayton Keller, we are going to have to trade you away, though. All right, so this is what we're going to do. It's going to be Clayton Keller over to the Anaheim Ducks. We're going to pick up 2 RFAs. Both of them have medium league potential, and both of them have a lot of trade value. At face value, this deal doesn't really make too much sense until we make this one right here with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So this is the deal we're pulling off with Columbus. Jackson Jacobson, you're going to be joining the team. I'm also going to get a second round pick as well. I think you're going to be a really good playmaker for us playing on the second line. They're going to say no to that deal. We can get this done without the second rounder, but I wanted to get a bid draft compensation back. Maybe I can get this third round pick. So I'm going to send this package over. They're saying no. They want a 7th rounder. So we'll throw Utah's 7th round pick into this deal, and then we'll get it done. So we picked up Dingman from the Anaheim Ducks. Now we're going to flip him. He's going to be sent over to the Vancouver Canucks. We're getting Lars Christensen here. This is an incredible deal. An 89 overall lockdown for the next 3 years at 2.5 million. Steal of a deal. Like, this team really might have all 87 overalls and above on the top 9. That's how good we're going to be. And then our next deal is going to be picking up Petrell from the San Jose Sharks. A good young player. I think he was just drafted in the top 5. Yeah, he was drafted 2nd overall, and now we're going to bring him to the team. Carcillo is going to be sent out. We're going to get a 3rd round pick back in this deal, but we have to give up another 7th. Do we have any 7th rounders left? No, we don't, so it'll have to be a 6th rounder. But at the end of the day, who really cares? So the cap situation on this team is not looking too bad, but Hunter Slaney, I can't bring you back to the team. 8.2 million for next season is way too expensive, so we're going to ride out your contract. Del Rio, I don't think we can bring you back as well. 6.8 million, and you're playing bottom 6 minutes. So we're just going to ride out this contract. We'll qualify you as an RFA and trade you away. We do have this young defenseman right here, and honestly, he doesn't look too bad. So maybe we try to lock him down to like an 8-year deal. I'm going to double check that this guy actually fits on our 3rd pairing. If he does, we're going to give him a long-term deal. So our man Reed actually does have a good fit on the 3rd pairing. So we're going to give him a 2-year extension at 1.4 million. That will keep him around for the next 2 years. Del Rio, we're just not going to be able to afford to keep you on this team. You're looking for 6.7 million. I can't do that. We have $9.3 million in cap space. A couple guys are going to have to leave this team. So Clayton Keller was certainly a difficult loss for this team, but you know what? The top 6 is still looking amazing. Jackson Jacobson, I know you can fill that role for us. The bottom 6 is still looking incredibly strong. The defense is still looking amazing here. And then when it comes to goaltending, Spencer Knight, you can still be the guy for us. You have a couple more good years left in you. Let's go win a couple more Stanley Cups. So once again, Utah's at the top of the league first with a 57-17-8 record. The offense continues to look great, but the defense is one of the best we've ever seen, 2.46. The defense on this team is really unstoppable, but the big surprise to me, Slakowski leading the way with 94 points. Alright, Slakowski holding it down for us. Lone Cooley looking great like usual. Dylan Gunther great. The entire team was great, but Connor Bedard less than a point a game and only 48 goals. You let me down, my guy. You gotta be a bit better than that. But you know what? Who really cares when the team's looking this good? If we see individual stats take a step back, but the team sees more success, that's what it's all about here. We're taking on the LA Kings in the first round. A potential rematch against the Minnesota Wild in the second round. That's what I'm looking for. The second round matchup's what we're actually looking for here. We're going to take game number 1, moving into game 2. We're going to steal that one away as well, but we're dropping game 3. We were looking to take a 3-0 series lead, but that's not going to be happening here. Luckily, we do have a 3-1 series lead, and a 3-1 series lead, that's just about as good as a 3-0 series lead. But you know what's even better? Taking a team out in 5 games. Minnesota, where are you? Falling in the first round to the Dallas Stars? Couldn't be us. We're off to the second round to take on Dallas. No, the Minnesota Wild are truly frauds. They thought they could really compete with Utah. They can't even get past the Dallas Stars. And what are we going to do against Dallas? Not quite sweep them, but we're going to take them out in a 5-game series. I really thought we were going to sweep the Dallas Stars. Unfortunately not, but we are going to take them out in 5 games. So this is a familiar spot for the Utah Hockey Club, the conference finals. We know how to win in this situation, so let's do it again. Right now, we're 8-2 so far in the postseason. No team's been able to take more than 1 game away from us, but Edmonton's going to be taking 2 here. We're down to a best of 3. The next couple games are going to decide this one. We're winning game 5. That's huge. Can we win game number 6 and move on to the Stanley Cup final? Yes, we can. Utah's back in the Stanley Cup final, and we're taking on the Devils. So we got the New Jersey Devils. We're 12-4 in the postseason so far, and we're going to finish it off with a sweep here. 16-4 in the postseason. Utah's really built different. No, like this team is really something special, and every single game we have to step up in, we find a way to do it, and that's including Connor Bedard. 19 goals, 8 assists, 27 points. Bro was borderline a goal per game in the postseason. You'll love to see it. Lone Cooley looking amazing like usual. Jackson Jacobson, you stepped up in the big time moments. 16 points in 20 games. The scoring on this team magnificent, and so was the goaltending. Spencer Knight, another Stanley Cup. How many Stanley Cups have you won so far? That's your 4th Stanley Cup, 3rd Vezina, 3rd William Jennings. Bro's just been a dominant beast. Now we might not have got Jonathan Taves here. We got Jaden Taves, 67 overall, medium top 6 potential. That's a decent pickup for the 32nd overall pick. So we got Jackson Jacobson on the team, but now we got Jacobs, low lead potential, 69 overall sniper. He'll probably jump into the lineup after about 3 seasons of development. And then of course another low lead potential player, but this one's going to be a gem. Percy, welcome to the team, a good defensive defenseman. I mean, I shouldn't really call you a good defensive defenseman. You're a 50 overall. You're a very below average defensive defenseman that could turn into something. So the re-sign phase is going to be pretty quiet, but Desmond Hoyle, I'm going to sign you to the team. $1 million for the next 3. That's your entry-level contract, starting as an 80 overall. Sanely, I'm going to qualify you as an RFA. Del Rio, you're going to be qualified as an RFA. But outside that, not too much is happening here. Lundstrom, I guess I could re-sign you depending on what you're looking for. 1.3 million. I'll do 1.2 million for 1 season. So these are 2 of the most important signings, Jackson Jacobson and Hector Smith. We're starting with Jacobson here because I think we can get the best deal done with him. Never mind, he only wants 1 year. Smith, what are you going to look for? I'm a bit concerned with your ask. Actually, this isn't bad in the slightest. Hector Smith, we're going to keep you on this team. No, I'm not going to lie. Hector Smith was actually one of the most difficult contracts to negotiate. We're only going to save $500K in this deal, and we have to give him a no movement clause. But you know what, Hector Smith, you're a big time player on this team, so you gotta stick around. When it comes to our next defenseman, Brady, I'm not going to bring you back. However, Krupp, we might bring you back. Barring what you're looking for, you might come back to this team. Never mind, you're not coming back either. So we're going to lose both of these guys here. We might even trade them away. They probably have a decent amount of trade value, so we'll probably do that. And then Mikko Peterson or Mikko Pedersen, doesn't really matter. You're returning to the team 2 years. So I'm going to take Heward here. We're going to be giving up Sanely, and we're going to be giving up one of our defensemen. Heward's got low franchise potential. Now, I'm not expecting him to turn to a franchise star for us, but I wouldn't be against it. Alright, so we're going to give up Haley here, and we're also going to give up Krupp, but we're going to bring in Jeffrey, medium elite potential. He's going to be a good defenseman for the 3rd pairing. We'll have him under contract for the next 3 years, so that's going to help this team a lot. We have a really good thing going on with the salary cap situation right now, so I want that to continue. A 3rd and 2nd rounder are thrown into this deal, but that's still not going to be enough. I'll do 2 2nd round picks and a 3rd. Honestly, I don't really care if I have to overpay a little bit. So our final deal is going to be completed with the Ottawa Senators. We're picking up Cutler in a 3rd round pick. We need somebody to play some 3rd pairing minutes on this team. You know what? If you're not willing to throw that 3rd round pick into the deal, give me a 4th rounder. Honestly, I really don't care that much about the draft pick. If they say no to this, then I won't even include it, but we're going to get it done. So the boys were elite last season, won a Stanley Cup. Why would things change here? You can make the argument our team's actually better. I think we have more defensive depth this time, and then when it comes to goaltending, maybe we're not quite as good. Spencer Knight's dropped to an 88 overall. This might be the last dance with him. Spencer Knight, this could potentially be your final season with the team. We might have to make some difficult decisions. So it's one of the best seasons we've seen from the Utah Hockey Club. First in the entire league, a 60-15-7 record. We all know what we do here. We win games and we win Stanley Cups. Slafkovsky leading the way with 102 points. Lone Cooley's picking up 101. Connor Bedard 93, so a big bounce back performance from him. The rest of the team looking incredible. Look at all the point a game scores we have. 5 guys over a point a game, and again, only 1 point shy of a point a game. You'll love to see it. And then when it comes to Spencer Knight, another fantastic season from him. Even at 34 years old, he continues to produce like one of the greats. But the real question is, can he produce in the postseason? Yes, he can. We've seen it time and time again. We're taking on Vancouver in the first round, potentially taking on the Minnesota Wild in the second. I would love that rematch. So Minnesota, we weren't able to get our revenge against you last postseason, but you know what? I still want to get my revenge. Okay, we are scoring goals like crazy. We've scored 21 goals through 3 games so far, and it looks like we're going to cap it off with a sweep over the Vancouver Canucks. Let's just keep on rolling. And Minnesota, I really want to match up against you in the second round. Can we see Minnesota? Are they going to be frauds and they're going to fall to the Chicago Blackhawks? We're about to find out in the next couple days here. It looks like it's going to be the Minnesota Wild. It's time to get our revenge. Utah's looking to sweep this team. We all know what's on the line here. It's time for revenge. We're going to take game number 1. Are we going to take game 2? No, we aren't. So as long as we don't drop the next 2 games here, we'll be okay. But I'm a bit concerned. Minnesota's putting up a bigger fight than I thought they would. Game number 5 is going to be a big one. Who's going to take the lead in this series? Of course, it's going to be Utah. Close it out in game number 6 and move on to the conference finals. You know what we do around here. And you know what? With the way the postseason's been going, why stop now? Let's just keep on rolling. We'll look at the postseason bracket at the end, but who really cares as long as we win? We won game 1, we won game 2, we dropped game 3, but you know what? We got a 3-1 series lead. Close it out in game number 5 here, move on to the Stanley Cup final, or do we have to close it out in game number 6 here? I know we're not going to blow a 3-1 series lead. We're too good to do that. We have the Washington Capitals in the Stanley Cup final. Let's go back to back here. Utah's just going to keep on winning. Nobody can stop this team right now, but the Washington Capitals might be able to stop us. We split the series with them, so game 5 is going to be a huge one. We can't be falling to a 3-2 deficit here in the Stanley Cup final. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. What's Utah doing right now? We are supposed to be this dominant force, and you're telling me the Washington Capitals are putting us on the brink of elimination, but not for long. We're picking up 3 goals in the first period. We got this game locked down. An amazing shutout from Spencer Knight. Now we got game 7. No surprise, Spencer Knight's going to step up in the big time moments, and the offense, it's going to keep on rolling here. So I need another great performance from Spencer Knight. The offense has to look elite here. We're exchanging goals in the first period. In the second, we're going to be faltering. What's this team doing? But you know what? It's the Utah Hockey Club. Watch us make that comeback. We lost 5-3. That's a tough one. If we don't allow these 2 unanswered goals, we're making it to overtime. But unfortunately, the Utah Hockey Club is going to fall in game number 7. Once again, we're going to fall in game 7. We really seem to struggle in game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, because that's twice we've lost now. And it's not like I can really complain about the offense here. The offense was amazing. The boys stepped up when they had to. It was the goaltending, I think. The goaltending wasn't quite as good, but you know what? It actually was really good. Spencer Knight, you held it down. We just lost in game 7. Nothing you can do. We weren't good enough offensively. We weren't good enough defensively. The team just fell apart in that final game. You hate to see it. So not only did we lose in the Stanley Cup final, but we're going to be disappointed in the draft here. I think the best thing we got was low top 6. That's definitely not a good draft here. Now this is certainly going to hurt us here, but I forgot to give Jackson Jacobson that extension. So we're going to have to pay him more than I was wanting to. But you know what? We're still going to get a good deal done here. It's going to be 11.5 for the next 8 years. But man, if I only didn't forget to pay this man. Like, we could have been looking at a spectacular deal. Maybe even $8 million. Now we're giving him 11. So we have a couple guys that are needing extensions. Wallander happens to be one of them. Now this is what I'm thinking. He's going to get a modified no trade clause. We're going to try to get that cap hit down a little bit. He'll play 1 more season for the team, then we'll trade him away. So here's what William Wallander is going to be accepting: $10.8 million for the next 3 years, a 12-team no trade. We're going to be saving $2 million here, so it'll be easy to trade him away. And he's got franchise potential, so we should be able to get quite a bit for him. When it comes to the rest of the guys here, I guess it depends on what everyone's looking for. Petrell, I don't think we can keep you around here. You're looking for $10.5 million unless you hold a spot in our top 6. If you have a good fit on the top 6, then maybe, but it doesn't look like it, so we're just going to route your contract. Christensen, what about you? Do you fit on any of the top lines? I guess you sort of fit on the second line, so maybe we can keep you around, barring what you're looking for here. $10 million, that's a bit expensive. So I think we're going to let both of these guys ride out their contracts, and we'll trade them next season after we qualify them as RFAs. Beaudoin, I think we're just going to write out your contract as well, depending on what you're looking for. $3.2 million. We have to save a little bit of money. Cutler, I'm assuming you're going to be looking for probably $3 million as well, 2.9 million. So yeah, we're just gonna let you walk as well. I shouldn't really say let you walk because we will just sign you to a reasonable deal. Hodgson, we're not gonna be able to keep you. You're looking for 5.7 million. So once again, qualify you as an RFA and trade you away. We're gonna be doing that with quite a few players. I mean, Kelvin May, we can do this 1.2 for 2 years. That's a pretty good deal. You might potentially jump into the bottom 6. And then Ricky Adamski, yeah, we'll do this deal, $1 million for the next 2. So I have just been informed there are no good goalies in this league. Like, we are in a goalieless league right now. Spencer Knight has the second most trade value when it comes to goaltenders, and he's 35. Jesper Wallstedt has the highest at 33 years old. But yeah, there are not a lot of good goaltenders. We're looking at a lot of 85 overalls, 84 overalls. There are no studs left anymore. So with that being said, I'm going to trade a mediumly potential goaltender and a second round pick over to the Washington Capitals. We're going to get this mediumly potential right here. And this was the guy that just beat us in the postseason. Or I think it was the guy that just beat us in the postseason. Maybe it wasn't. This might have been the backup. Who beat us in the postseason then? I'm actually kind of curious now which goaltender beat us in the postseason. Did we lose to Camper? No way we lost to Camper. We lost to this dude in the postseason. This is the guy that locked in. Yeah, ain't no way. So we're going to trade for your backup. And that guy actually has a lot of potential and he looks not too bad. And the plan is Spencer Knight, you're going to get 1 more year here. And then this guy we just picked up is our goaltender for the future. And right after acquiring this man, what a deal. 1.9 for the next 2 years. That's an incredible deal. So we got him locked down for the next 3. Technically, he could be our starter this season, but we're going to hold on to Spencer Knight. So expectations for this team every single season are to be winning Stanley Cups. Last year we lost in Game 7. That's the second time we've lost in Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. It won't happen again. The defense is better. The offense is better. The only concern we have, Spencer Knight dropping to an 86 overall. But you know what? We got ourselves a great backup. 87 all Sergey. He actually might be the starter this season. And you know what? I'm going to make him the starter. He's taken over. Yeah, so not too much happened here. Only first in the entire league with 64 wins, allowing less than 200 goals this season. Yeah, it was a pretty quiet season for us. We didn't really do too much. Connor Bedard led the way, 120 points. He also had 69 goals. I mean, that's an okay season, I guess, from Connor Bedard. 69 goals. That's kind of the minimum I'm expecting from him. Offensively, absolutely incredible. We had 3 100-point scorers. Can't really ask for too much here. And then when it comes to goaltending, this goaltender that we picked up is absolutely spectacular. Bro is a beast. So yeah, I think we should do all right here in the playoffs with the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round. But the one concern I do have, a potential matchup against Minnesota in the second, because Minnesota is the second best team in the entire league. You know what? We can't worry about Minnesota. First, we have to get past the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to be dominating the first 2 games, make that 3 straight games. It's going to be a sweep over Vegas, isn't it? Vegas really just can't compete with us. So we knew this was going to happen. Utah versus Minnesota. It's a yearly classic at this point. So these 2 teams are always going to match up against each other. As I just mentioned, it's a yearly classic at this point. We're going to take game number 1, 6-5. It was a close fought battle. Game number 2 is going to be a close fought battle as well. All of the games so far have been close, but you know what? We're still taking them down to sweep. We're moving on to the conference finals. We are yet to lose a game here. The boys just keep on rolling. And in a situation like this, honestly, I don't really want to stop. Like, we've won 8 straight games. Let's make it 12 straight games. A sweep over the Calgary Flames is going to put us in the Stanley Cup final, but unfortunately, we're going to be dropping game number 1 and game number 4. All right. This is actually a closer series than I thought it would be, but you know what? Utah's still going to come out on top. We've made it back to the Stanley Cup final after we win game 7. Because yeah, we just got forced to game 7. Calgary, I'm not too familiar with your team. Maybe you guys have a bunch of superstars here, but you know what? I don't think you're quite as good as us. But you know what? It's so close when heading into the third period, a 1-goal game. Who's going to step up when it matters? The Calgary Flames are stepping up 2 massive goals, but luckily Cooley's going to be picking up a big goal for us. So overtime's going to sell this one. And in overtime, we lost. We lost in the conference finals. Cochrane, did you pick up a hat trick in this game? I know you had multiple goals. You had 2 goals. Did you have a goal in the second period? No, you didn't. Did you have a goal in the first? No, you didn't. But he picked up 2 huge goals. And the Utah Hockey Club, a team that won 64 games, is falling in the conference finals. I got nothing to say. So I don't really know what happened to the boys. Like, losing in the conference finals is something. Yeah, we've lost in the Stanley Cup final a few times, but that's the cup final, not the conference finals. Did we just completely collapse? Like, offensively, we were really good. Defensively, I think we were really good. Did goaltending choke on us? It sort of did, but it really didn't. I mean, an 899 is terrible, but a 273 isn't awful. So I don't really know what happened. I think the better team might have won here. Like, what was Calgary's record? Were they at least a top 10 team? They might not have been. Calgary might have been one of the worst teams here. They were 11th in the entire league, a 46-30-6 record. They are okay offensively, but they weren't good defensively. We lost to Calgary. I don't like that. No, I've never been more disappointed. I just gave our head coach an 8-year extension last offseason. This man retired on us. He retired on us, and we still have like half the rebuild remaining. How could you do this to me? So we have a couple mediumly potential players leaving the team. Petrell's gonna be leaving the team here. Christensen's gonna be leaving the team here. We're gonna be losing 2 great pieces. But you know what? We just can't afford to keep everyone here. We run into some cap troubles. You know what? That's just the way it is. So we're going to qualify both of these guys and they'll be traded away. Bodewin, you're going to be leaving the team. We're going to qualify these two RFAs right here. There's going to be a handful of changes. So Logan Cooley, you're 33 years old. You have no movement clause right now. So I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with Wallander, even though we're yet to trade him. I'm going to re-sign you but give you a no movement clause, and then we'll trade you away next season. So this is what we're going to do with Logan Cooley. 11.1 million, so we're saving $4 million on his asking price. He's getting a 16-team no trade clause, but I'm letting you know right now you're being traded next season. Eddie Cunning, you might be 25 years old and only an 81 overall with medium league potential, but you know what? You can be a decent backup for us. So here's the deal we're going to pull off. Wallander, I'm going to send you over to the Colorado Avalanche. Thank you for all the amazing years and helping us win a ton of Stanley Cups here. We're bringing in 2 medium league potential players. One's a defenseman, another's a forward, and we're also getting a first round pick in this deal, but we're going to have to give them something back. I want to make sure we get that first round pick though. So here's a second rounder, and I think that might be enough to be the difference in this deal. If I have to give up our first round pick for this season, I'm willing to do so. And you know what? Let's just do that. We'll make this as simple as possible. We'll swap first round picks. So we know Petrell's not coming back, and Hodgson, he's not going to come back as well. So with us not being able to afford Petrell, he's going to be sent over to Nashville. We're getting Sterling and a first round pick. I think we're going to have to include something else. Yes, we are. We do have a couple more RFAs on this team we can trade. One of them's a defenseman in Hodgson, so I'm going to throw him into this deal, and then hopefully that's going to be enough. We just got to add a little bit more, and then this deal is going to be accepted. I'll give you a 7th rounder because the lucrative 7th round pick's always enough. And there we go. We got Sterling and a first round pick. So we have to continue to trade away a lot of the RFAs that we can't afford. So now Christensen and a 2nd round pick's being sent over to St. Louis, and we're bringing in Colling for the next 3. And then of course Caden Heward, we're going to keep you around. I think you're going to be a superstar defenseman. 9.7 for the next 4. You're basically going to be the replacement for Wallander. So as long as the top 6 stays together, we're going to be competing for Stanley Cups, no question about it. These guys continue to look elite. The bottom 6, although we don't have any X factors, I mean, I'm not going to complain with an 85, 86, and an 84. Like, why would I ever be upset about that? When it comes to the defensive core, this is the best it's ever been. Magnuson's the lowest overall in an 83. Then we have an 89, 91, 89, 97, and a 90. And then when it comes to goaltending, Sergei, you're up to an 87 overall. We might have the next great goaltender in the league. We went from Spencer Knight to Sergei. No, we've never lacked in the goaltending department. I mean, except for the first couple years when we had Connor Ingram. But you know what? It's been a long time since then. So even though we got a new coach, the team didn't take any steps back. A 60, 16, 6 record. Yeah, we are flying on all cylinders here. Nobody's stopping us. The offense continues to look amazing. Connor Bedard, 111 points, 68 goals. Surprisingly, that's actually not his career high because 2 years ago we had 69, but that's neither here nor there. Look at all the point of game scores. This is the most we've ever had when it comes to point of game scores. We have 6 guys over a point a game. We were locked in, no question about it. And goaltending, Sergei, you've been elite so far, and I think you're going to be elite in the postseason once again here. We're not going to fall in the conference finals this time. We're going to win a Stanley Cup. So we know Utah's going to be able to get past Dallas. We're not going to lose to a wild card team. We're winning game number 1 in overtime. Moved into game 2, we're losing that one, and we lost game number 3. Okay, what are we doing? We're not falling to a 3-1 deficit, are we? Like, I assume we're going to win game number 4, and that's exactly what's happening here. We can't afford to lose any more games here. We have to win game number 5. That's going to be an important one for the boys. What are we doing? The Utah Hockey Club doesn't lose in the first round. We don't do that. I need Utah to show up when it matters most. No goals scored in the first period, no goals scored in the second. We're going to lose. We're about to lose to the Dallas Stars. Bloomquist, thank you for saving the day. We shouldn't have won that game right there. We didn't deserve to win that one, but we forced game 7, and you know what? We're going to win game 7. Dallas, you had the chance to eliminate us, and you know what? You folded. You missed out on your chance, but we're trailing by 1 goal entering the 3rd period, but that's perfectly fine because we're going to lose. We're not going to make the comeback. We lost in game 7 of the first round. I can live with losing game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. You lost by 1 game, but you know what? The team showed a lot of promise, and they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. We lost in the first round. The first round. Yeah, we don't do that. That's not what Utah does. You know what? I don't even want to look at the stats for this team. Like, we lost in game 7 of the first round. I'm so incredibly disappointed. We just got the 1st overall pick from Colorado. I'm not as disappointed now. No, I'm not going to lie, I was low-key praying for a franchise potential player. But you know what? We're going to go with the guy actually projected 2nd overall here. I mean, I don't think you miss on either of these guys. We're getting an 82 overall power forward. I wanted the power forward more than the playmaker. And we're also going to have another pick in the first round. We're going to go with Kelly Black here. I'm not really expecting him to be a superstar, but a 66 overall sniper, he has potential. Now, for the amount of medium league potential goaltenders we've drafted, how have none of them really developed for us? Like, we've drafted a lot of medium league potential goaltenders, and they've all been busts. It's actually very surprising. Now, we don't have too much to do here during the re-sign phase, qualify a couple RFAs, sign some rookies, but other than that, we're not really doing too much. So as I mentioned earlier, Logan Cooley was going to leave the team because we're going to trade him away, but we do need to find a replacement for Logan Cooley, and I think that's going to be Sterling. He fits in the top 6, he could be a great playmaker in the future for us. We're just going to have to hold off on an extension. I want to do a long-term deal with him. And you know what? Speaking of giving extensions, Jeffrey, I think we're going to give you a long-term deal as well, because Mo Sider, he's on the verge of retirement. The only problem with Jeffrey, he doesn't fit in the top 4, so maybe he won't be sticking around. Alright, so we might be forced to play a left defenseman on the right side. Here's every single player in the NHL right now, 30 years old or younger. So we have Landon DuPont, Clarkson, Jeffrey, who plays both sides, Smith, Layton. Other than that, it's almost all left defensemen. I'm not kidding. For every 20 left defensemen, there is one right defenseman. We have no choice but to play a left defenseman on the right side. Like, there's literally nothing I can do here. And then when it comes to right defensemen, a lot of them have no movement clauses. So in reality, I can't trade for 99% of the right defensemen. And it's kind of funny, of the right defensemen available, Del Rio, he played for us at one point. Matthew Schaefer, he actually didn't play for us, but he's got no movement clause. Hodgson, he played for us. So we have to trade for a left defenseman to play on the right side. There's nothing we can do about it. So Logan Cooley, I want to thank you for all the amazing years here. How many Stanley Cups did you win with us? I think you won, what, 4 Stanley Cups, 5 Stanley Cups, maybe even 6 Stanley Cups, a 5-time Stanley Cup champion with Utah. You won a Conn Smythe in the process, but now it's time for us to head a different direction. Malmstrom from the Vegas Golden Knights, as well as 4 first-round picks can be acquired here. We might have to exchange a couple first-rounders, but we're going to get Vegas's first. Now, Vegas, they're going to be a terrible team, so all these first-rounders are going to be incredibly valuable. 4 years worth of first-round picks for Logan Cooley, a first-rounder, and a third-round pick. This is a big time deal. Maybe it's going to include a second rounder. So I'll give you a second rounder for 2040. Hopefully that's going to be enough to get this deal done. This is the beginning of a mini rebuild. So the next thing we're going to do is head over to the Washington Capitals. We're going to give up our first round pick for 2040 as well as Hoyle. So after reconsidering things, I actually don't think we need to trade for another defenseman. We're going to write out Mo Sider's contract. Jeffrey will trade you away next season, bring in another defenseman, and then we'll have our 6 elite defensemen. So yeah, we're still in a pretty good spot here. So Cutler, it's been a while since you've played for our franchise. You've been RFA for the past couple years, but now you're finally going to be rejoining because we have enough cap space. $5 million for 1 season. And then Ricky Adamski, 1.5 for the next 2. You can be a third pairing defenseman. Even a guy like Ernest Boychuk could be really good for us, so we're going to do $1 million for the next 2 years. As a bottom 6 piece, that's pretty good. Now, I've been so focused on the forwards and the defensemen on this team, I might have forgot about Sergei, but don't worry, Sergei, you're still going to get your bread. $5.2 million for the next 8 years of full no movement. So the last 2 years have certainly been disappointing for the boys, but you know what? The top 6 is still looking good. Although Don Gunther, you're getting towards the end of your career. You've dropped to an 86 overall, 2 years left on your contract. You're clearly not the player you used to be. We will find a replacement for you, don't worry. When it comes to the defense though, that's the best it's ever been. This defense is unstoppable. Mo Sider, you've dropped to an 85 overall. Age is catching up to some of these guys, but you know what? We're going to win one last Stanley Cup with them. Sergei, you just got a big time bag, 86 overall. You've been an incredible goaltender. I need a couple more good years out of you though. So we have a week left in the season, and Wade Sterling, I want to make sure you're sticking around here. We're going to sign you for the next 5 years, $13.5 million. You're going to be a top 6 playmaker for us, and so far you've had a decent season. So Utah continues to sit on top of the world here, once again first in the entire league, a 57-19-6 record with one of the best offenses and one of the best defenses. Connor Bedard continues to do his thing, 75 goals this season. Okay, putting Sterling alongside this man was definitely the right move. Even though Sterling only had 81 points, I don't really care. Connor Bedard's picking up goals like crazy. What a fantastic pickup that was. Don Gunther, he continues to regress here. He's under contract for 1 more year, so honestly that's not the end of the world. When it comes to goaltending, Sergei, 86 overall. You were incredible once again this year, but the real question is, can we win a Stanley Cup with you? We are yet to win a Stanley Cup here. Last season, we're not going to talk about what happened. We're going to get past that. So we're not going to talk about what happened last season in the first round. Instead, we're just going to get past it. We're going to take Chicago down in game number 1. In game number 2, we're going to lose that one. We lost game 3 as well. We're not doing this. Utah, you are not choking like this. We were first in the entire league once again. We're not losing to Chicago. We lost to Dallas. We can't lose to Chicago here. Win game number 5. That's a huge one. I can't trust this team for anything anymore. Ever since we had to get a new coach, this team's been frauds. Like, clearly this coach isn't as good as the last one we had because we have not been the same team. The third period is going to decide this game. Who's going to show up when it matters most? Connor Bedard is. Of course he is. We need a big time player to make some big time plays, and Connor Bedard's been that guy for us. So here we go, game 7. The Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Utah Hockey Club. We need the boys to step up when it matters. We're not stepping up in the first period, but we'll step up in the second. Jackson Jacobson, That's going to be a huge goal for you, but it doesn't matter if we don't win this game. We need to step up. Don't lose in overtime. Whatever you do, don't lose in overtime. Don't lose in double overtime. We lost in double overtime. We lost in the first round for back-to-back years now. I'm speechless. I actually don't know what to say. I really don't. I don't know if it was bad offense. I don't know if it was bad defense. I don't know what happened to this team, but we're losing to Chicago. Clearly, the offense wasn't good enough, but you know what? We don't look too bad. Statistically wise, we didn't look too bad. Goaltending wise, we look good as well. Chicago was just better, I guess. They got hot at the right time, and clearly we weren't. So year 15 was just completed, so that means we have 10 years left in this rebuild. With the way the past couple have gone, we got to set some expectations. Over the next 10 years, we're looking at taking home 5 Stanley Cups. Now that's definitely one way to bounce back. The 6th overall pick from Vegas. So we're going to be winning in the draft. A medium league potential player, 80 overall. Jacob Holland, welcome to the team. But you know what? I'm contemplating trading for one of these other medium league potential players, and I think we're going to be able to. So you know what? That's exactly what we're going to do. This guy's about to turn to an RFA, so we're going to pick up this player from the St. Louis Blues. We're going to get a 3rd round pick as well. I guess not. We're just going to go 1 for 1 here. Or do I have to give up a 3rd round pick? I didn't think I'd have to give up more assets in this deal, but apparently I do. So here's a 3rd round pick. They're saying no to that. I'll give you the rest of my draft picks for this season. Like, I'm perfectly fine with trading all my draft picks away. I just really want to get this deal done. Now, unfortunately, my draft picks aren't going to be enough here, but I'll give you my 1st round pick for next season if you give me your 2nd. Now, I think this is a pretty fair exchange. I'm giving you a 1st round pick in exchange for a 2nd. Now, they're going to be saying no to that, but I'll give you a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder. Now, all of this is being sent over to St. Louis. It's still not going to be enough here. Maybe I just don't get the 2nd round pick. Maybe we just do something like this. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine with a deal like this. St. Louis, can you please accept one of these? Like, this deal is more than fair. I give you a 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounder as well. So here's what we're going to do. Jeffrey, I'm going to qualify you as an RFA just because you have poor line fits. Hoyle, I guess I never traded you away. I don't know why I didn't trade you away, but I guess I didn't. But I'm going to qualify you as an RFA as well. And then we'll trade you away for some more medium-league potential players. Outside of that, we're probably not going to sign anyone here. I'm assuming May's going to be asking for a bag, $7 million. I can't do that for a bottom 6 guy. Cutler, he's looking for 6.1. I can't do that as well. Mo Sider's going to be leaving the team. Thank you for all the amazing years. But we're going to make some moves and we're going to make this team better. Now, there's a handful of medium league potential players that need to be traded away. Connor Bedard, you got one more good season in you. We're going to re-sign you, and of course, I'm going to give you a modified no trade clause. I'm going to try and negotiate this deal down a little bit, but Connor Bedard, you actually might not get a no trade clause. I cut to the chase. We're getting towards the end of your career. I don't know how many great years you have left in you. So here's the deal I'm going to do with Connor Bedard. $13.2 million for the next 3 years, a 20-team no trade. But next season, you will be traded away. Now, last season, I tried to pull off a deal for this defenseman, but we weren't able to do it. Now, I think we might be. Jeffrey over to the Washington Capitals. We're going to get this defenseman and a 1st round pick. They're going to say no to that. What if we exchange 1st round picks? Like, I'll give you our 1st round pick for 2041, and I think that's enough to get this deal done. What an absolute steal. So like usual, we have to trade our RFAs away, and we're going to be getting Darby. We're going to include a 2nd round pick in this deal. They're going to say no, and I think we're going to have to give up a prospect as well. Now, we do have a couple good young forward prospects, and I think that's what we're going to have to give up here. We're going to give up Black in this deal, and then hopefully that's going to be enough. They're saying no. I can give you a defensive prospect as well, I guess. I mean, that's if we have any good defensive prospects, and it doesn't look like we really do, so it's going to have to be more draft picks. So hopefully you're interested in a 3rd and 4th round pick, and if you're interested in that, we should be able to get this deal done. And that's exactly what's happening. Now, it's an incredibly sad day, but I didn't realize one player actually went ahead and retired on us, Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther has left the Utah Hockey Club. It's an incredibly sad day. One of the key pieces for this team. He helped this team dominate the league, win a handful of Stanley Cups, but I think he retired one season too early. We're going to make one last push for a Stanley Cup here. We're going to go win a couple more. Dylan Guenther, you should have stuck around for one more year. You could have added one more to solidify your legacy. So this is one of those seasons where stats mean nothing. I don't care what a record was. I don't care what the scoring on this team was. We have to focus on the postseason. You do not understand how important the postseason is right now. Utah just did something historic. We did something no other. Okay, why are we losing? Why are we losing? I just said we were a historic team and we're losing games. We're not losing to Dallas. We can't do this. I don't think you guys understand how upset I would be if we lost to Dallas right now. Utah has to win. We're going to win this game 5-0. Doesn't matter. We have to win 3 in a row. Utah, you were so incredibly good this season. You set records. But you're telling me you're going to lose in the 1st round to Dallas. We were down 3-1 in this series. We can't lose to Dallas. Whatever you do, don't lose to Dallas. We have a 2-goal lead entering the 3rd period. Connor Bedard's been amazing so far. Bedard's really the only reason we're still alive in this series. So we got Game 7. Don't lose in Game 7. I cannot stress this enough. Do not lose in game 7. I'm going to keep on saying that. Do not lose in game 7. I know what this team's record was. I know what we did this season. You guys don't. Do not lose in game number 7. We have a 2-goal lead. We won by 1 here. That was so incredibly lucky. We got so lucky in this game. We're moving on. But that's ridiculous. Honestly, that is so incredibly ridiculous. Dallas taking us to 7 games. Chicago, you shouldn't be able to compete with us. By logic, there is no team in the NHL that should be able to compete with us right now. We're about to sweep the Blackhawks. We're moving on to the next round. Like, this is more realistic. For what our record was, technically, no team should be able to beat us in a 7-game series. So we're taking on the LA Kings. They're taking game number 1, 7-3. How are you winning 7-3 against us? That actually doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter. We have a 3-1 series lead. We're going to close out in game 5. We're going to move on to the Stanley Cup final. We've made it to the Stanley Cup final. Utah, you can finally close it out and win a Stanley Cup here. We've gone through years of disappointment, but now we're back in the Stanley Cup final. So we have the Stanley Cup final to worry about. We dropped game number 1. We dropped game number 3, but we split the series. Game 5, don't lose it. We lost it. Ain't no way we're doing this. Utah, you can't do this to me. We've gone too long without a Stanley Cup. Connor Bedard, it could potentially be your final season with the team. I need you to step up in the third period, pick up a couple goals here. It might not have been Connor McDavid, but we're still alive. 1 game. We have 1 game coming up, and unfortunately, it's game 7. I don't think we've won in game 7 of the Stanley Cup final yet, so things have to change right now. We need to win in game 7 of the Stanley Cup final right now. Utah, you have to step up here. Connor Bedard's picking up a goal. We're going to be exchanging goals in the second period. We have a 1-goal lead entering the third. Bedard pick up the hat trick here. Oh my god, we're off to overtime. We allowed a goal with 26 seconds left. Win this game. Sterling, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. And you know why I can't thank Sterling enough? Because this team was really good this season. Yeah, we won a Stanley Cup, but when it comes to the standings, we were very good. There's a reason I was stressing as much as I was. We went 69-8-5. This team lost 13 games all season, 69 wins, averaged 4.73 goals per game and 2.3 allowed. And we almost lost. Connor Bedard, you picked up 139 points here, 83 goals. You averaged over a goal per game. Sterling, you picked up 109 points. So Bedard, maybe I don't trade you away. Probably wouldn't hurt, but you are starting to regress here. But you had 83 goals. That is why I was stressing so much. This team was basically perfect. Sergei picked up 61 wins, 7 shots on 917 to 230. There is a reason we had to win this season, and this is exactly why. There was so many historic things that happened this season. We can't lose in the first round. Luckily, we didn't, and Sergei won a Stanley Cup with us. But man, that was stressful. Utah's winning a Stanley Cup. We're moving on to the draft here. Connor Bedard will be traded away. It's going to be a sad day. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting a top pick in this draft either. So yeah, Vegas must have been somewhat competitive. Actually, did we play Vegas in the Stanley Cup playoffs? I couldn't even tell you. Honestly, I don't really remember who we played. All I know is the Dallas Stars almost eliminated us in the first round. Basically, everything after that was a blur. So after our historic season, obviously we can't keep on winning. So the draft is going to be pretty quiet for us. But you know what? It doesn't matter because 90% of the team's coming back next season. So we're going to qualify Kong as an RFA here. And then Mauer is going to be returning to this team. However, we have to trade Bedard first. Even though we picked up 80-some goals last season, we got to trade him away. That's going to be a tough one for us, but you know what? We don't have another option. So here's what we're going to do. Bedard, thank you for the amazing season you had last year. You were historic. Now we're picking up 2 medium league potential players, and we're picking up 2 first-round picks. Maybe we won't be getting 2 first-round picks, but we're definitely going to be getting some valuable assets here. I'll include a second-rounder from Utah. Hopefully that's going to be enough. They're saying no. We'll just do 1 first-round pick then, and then Calgary's going to be accepting. So Roger Mauer, I want you coming back to the team here. We're going to be looking at $12 million for the next 7. So that's a bit less than what Connor Bedard was getting paid, but you know what? It's still going to be expensive for us. So Roger Mauer, welcome back to the team. And then Smith, I want to keep you on this team as well. Now, I'm not going to lie, Smith, you are not helping me in the slightest here. I want to get a reasonable deal done, but you will just not accept anything right now, and we can't trade you away. So you might just be walking away unless you're willing to accept this. Yes, you are. It's going to be $14.4 million with a modified no trade clause, $6 million more than what you're getting paid right now. We're really not saving that much money in a deal like this, but at least you're going to be coming back to the team. You have a couple more good years left in you. By the time you hit 34, though, we will trade you away. And you know what? While we're doing it, Xavier Kong, we're going to bring you back to the team as well. And you might be wondering why I'm doing this deal right here, $12.3 million for the next 6. We're going to be trading somebody away here. And that's going to be Iginla. Iginla, you're 33 years old. Your best days are behind you. So we're going to capitalize on that trade value while we can. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Iginla and a first-round pick is going to be sent over to Toronto. I don't want to give up Vegas' first-rounder, but we have to. Gagon, you're going to be acquired here. You're a good young player. You were just drafted pretty high. We got to get you on this team. They're going to be saying no to that one. I'll do 2 first-round picks if I have to. So I'll throw in Utah's first-round pick, and that should be enough to get this one done. We have so many guys on their entry-level contract, it's actually a bit ridiculous. So we went through a massive turnover, but you know what? The team's still in a great spot. Like, our forward core is unbeatable. Our defensive core is unbeatable. Just look at this top 4. Nobody's going to stop that. And then when it comes to goaltending, Sergey, we've seen that you can be the guy for us, so you just have to continue doing that. So for the first time in probably a decade, the Utah Hockey Club's not going to be first. We're going to be sitting second with a 51-25-6 record. This team's just not what they used to be. We've lost so many key pieces over the years, and we haven't really found ways to replace them. Sterling, you're a great player and all, but you know what? You're not that superstar player. Connor Bedard, technically we could have held on to you for another year, but you know what? It just didn't make sense for us. For the direction this team's heading, we have to go through a little bit of a rebuild here, but you know what? We're still one of the better teams in the league. We can still compete with the best, and we're going to prove that this season. We're going to go back to back. So it starts right here. Take down the Anaheim Ducks in a sweep, move on to the second round, and prove we can still compete. We're allowing 8 goals in game number 3. Not really ideal, but you know what? We still have a 3-1 series lead, and having a 3-1 series lead is really all that matters. So we'll close out in game 5 and move on. So winning in the first round doesn't certify ourselves as a good team. Winning a Stanley Cup does. We're moving on to the Nashville Predators next. It's weird not taking on Minnesota in the second round, or even Chicago. Like, in all seriousness, when is the last time we took on Nashville in the postseason, if we've ever taken on Nashville? There's a good chance we've never taken on Nashville in the postseason, but it looks like Utah keeps on rolling. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a sweep here, but it will be a 5-game series as long as we can close it out here, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're looking to repeat, obviously. We have to take down the LA Kings, and then I think we'll see a familiar foe in the Stanley Cup final. It's going to be the Washington Capitals, isn't it? So LA, you know what? They're going to be a tough task for us, but maybe not as tough as I thought. Never mind, I'm going to take that statement back because the series was tied, but you know what? We're winning game number 5. That's going to be huge. Closed out in game 6, and are we really surprised to see Washington in the Stanley Cup final? Not at all. So this one series is deciding it all. Can we still compete in the NHL? And of course we can. We have a 3-1 series lead, closing it out in game number 5. It doesn't matter if Utah's not number 1 in the entire league, we're still competing. So we might not have been first in the entire league, but it doesn't matter because in the postseason we know the big time players step up, and that's exactly what happened here. When we needed some guys to rely on, we could rely on the players on our team. Sergey, you were incredible in the postseason, a 223 and a 217. If you were to ask me, this guy's got to be taking home the Conn Smythe. Now this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to trade a ton of our picks away. We're getting the 7th overall from Vegas. So I had to make this deal really quick because the time was running out. So we trade one of our RFAs and the 7th overall. We're getting the 1st overall pick. Now the reason we got the 1st overall pick is because there's a franchise potential player projected. So yeah, we just got a franchise potential player. That was worth it. So a handful of years ago, we got these 2 medium league potential defensemen, and I decided not to sign them until right now, because now we're going to get 3 years on their entry level contracts when they're 84 and 85 overalls. This is going to make the salary cap situation for this team very easy. And then 3 years down the road, we're just going to trade both of these guys and get 2 young defensemen once again. So we're just going to keep on flipping these guys. Adam Ski, unfortunately, you're not going to be returning to the team here. You're looking for $9 million. We only have $7 million to work with, so you're going to be leaving. Boychuk, I can only assume you're going to be leaving as well. I don't think we have the money for you. I mean, we technically do, but you know what? You're a bottom 6 piece. I can't do it. Alright, so Bloomquist, you're 33 years old, 96 overall. You're a franchise defenseman, but only for this season. We're going to re-sign you for $14.7 million, but then next season we're going to have to trade you away. Heward, I would really like to re-sign you, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to afford you because Malmstrom, he needs an extension as well, and he's looking for $12.2 million. We have too many guys in this team getting paid the big time dollars. It's just hard to keep everyone here. Now, Caden Heward, of course, I'm going to bring you back to the team. It's going to be $10.9 million for the next 8 years. He's more likely you'll take over as our number 1 defenseman once Bloomquist is gone. The only question is, do we have enough money to re-sign both of these guys? I don't think we do. So that means we have to trade somebody away here, but if we're going to trade any of these guys, who's it going to be? So although I'd really like this defenseman right here, and he's a great player for us, $8.1 million, we got to free up that money. So I'm going to send you over to Buffalo. We're going to get Rose Hill in a 3rd round pick. Rose Hill is going to play on the bottom 6 here. He's going to be a good forward for us. We're going 1 for 1. We just have to save that money. Now we're going to make one more deal here. It's going to be a 2nd, 3rd rounder and a prospect over to the Dallas Stars. Medveno, he's going to be acquired here. Low league potential, but he's like an 82, 83 overall. Under contract for the next 2 years. He knows how to play his role on this team. So from here on out, more than likely, we're just going to have the core pieces sticking around. But when it comes to rookies joining the team, we're just going to be flipping them over the next couple of years. Like the 2 rookies that we brought in here, we're going to ride out their entry level contract. But once that's done, they're going to be flipped away. And then we'll bring in those rookies. And once those rookies' entry level contract contracts are done, then we'll flip them away. We're just flipping assets for the rest of this video. Sergey dropped to his 85 overall. Don't really know why that's the case. We have a 70 overall backup. You know what? We're running the 70 overall backup. Why not? So it was only a matter of time before Utah was back at the top of the league, a 58, 20, and 4 record. Offensively, we're great. Defensively, we're great, but we're not the best defensively. Washington's actually better defensively than us. So that's certainly one thing we have to look out for. Sterling's leading the way. He's picking up 106 points. Malmstrom, he's going to be picking up 105. This is going to be a tough loss to the team. We're not going to be able to afford to bring this guy back, or we actually might be able to. We're going to have to pay attention to this guy right here because that first line is incredible. Plus 72, plus 71, plus 71. Ideally, we can keep all three of these guys around, and they'd be our top line for the future. When it comes to goaltending, Sergey, you continue to do your thing here. Even our 70 overall goaltender wasn't atrocious here. He had an 11-6-1 record, so you know what? He held up his end of the bargain. We have a familiar foe in the first round. It wouldn't be a postseason simulation if we didn't see the Minnesota Wild. It just wouldn't. So we're taking on the Minnesota Wild, and of course, Minnesota's going to steal game number 1, and they're stealing game number 2. Okay, we got to win game number 4 here. Game number 4 is the most important one in this series. We can't fall to a 3-1 deficit. We were first in the entire league. Hence, the Minnesota Wild are a wild card team. We are losing to a wild card team in the first round. That's not going to happen here. Utah's going to bounce back. We're going to have an amazing third period, and we're going to win this game right here. I told you it was going to happen. But one good third period is not going to be enough here. We have to win 3 unanswered. We've won one of those games so far. Now we have to win back-to-back. So Utah, I need you to lock in. This is going to be a big game. We're exchanging goals in the first period. In the second, Gagon's going to be picking up a huge goal. Hold it down the third period. A great third period defense moves us to game 7. And in the third period, we're going to be holding it down once again. Sterling's picking up a big goal. It was the first line that carried the way. So here we go. Game 7 between the Minnesota Wild and Utah Hockey Club. We had a massive bounce-back performance, but now we're trailing 4-0 entering the third period. This didn't happen. Let's get right to the draft. We don't need to see stats or anything. We're moving to the draft. Ain't no way we got shut out in game 7. So we got ourselves a mediumly potential goaltender who is also a gem here in the 6th round, but that means nothing. We lost in game 7 to the Minnesota Wild in the first round after finishing first in the entire league. I don't even know what Minnesota's record was. All I know is they shouldn't have been able to compete with us. There's no reason Minnesota should have been able to take any games away from us. We also got a lowly potential player here in the 7th round, so I guess I'll take it. Okay, Malmstrom, I really want to bring you back to the team. We're going to qualify you as an RFA, and then after we trade Bloomquist, we might be able to. However, this deal is just not going to happen if this is what you're asking for. 17.3 million. We can't do that. There's no way we're going to be able to do that. I'm going to qualify this defenseman as an RFA. Jacobs is going to walk here. This man's going to walk. We're going to sign these rookies. But yeah, we could be running into a bit of trouble. All right, so Bloomquist, we're going to trade you away here. You've been a fantastic defenseman for us. But now we're going to be getting Gustafsson for the Edmonton Oilers. We're getting Outlaw and 3 first-round picks. This deal is definitely going to be worth it. They're saying no to that one. I'll take out this first-round pick, but hopefully we can get 2. And it looks like we're going to be able to. So with the extra money, Shane Hebert, you're going to return to the team. We're probably going to be looking at around $12 million. It's going to be $12 million for the next 4 years. I think that's a pretty good deal for you. This medium franchise potential player, we're going to hold off for this season. Next year, we'll sign him to his entry-level contract. Then we're going to have him 3 years on a really cheap deal. Malmstrom, though, I really don't think we can afford to keep you on this team. So I think we're going to have to trade you. We just don't have any other choice. And you know what? This might end up working out for us because Malmstrom, I'm going to trade you over to the Islanders. We're going to get Amadio here and a first-round pick. Amadio, you're locked down for the next 4 years at $12 million, so that's already an amazing deal. So we might be able to keep all the important pieces around. So as we know, we just flipped the young guys around here. So this medium league potential player whose contract's over, him and the first round picks off to Florida. I wanted to get a second round pick, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to. So I'll just trade our RFA and the first round pick for the young player. This top 6 is looking amazing. All 90 overalls and above. The bottom 6 still looks great. The defense looks great here. Are we really surprised at that? And then when it comes to goaltending, Sergey, you're still an 86 overall. You're still the guy for us. And then Naslund, I think you were a goaltender last year. I'm pretty sure you're the backup. Yes, you were. And you know what? You succeeded last year, so why not try to succeed again? So Utah's fallen off the top. We're no longer the best team in the entire league. A 56-23-3 record has us second. But there's one thing that's very strange about this team. Now we're going to look at the offense. We have the 3rd best offense in the entire league, 3.7 goals scored. We have the best defense, 2.48. But with having the 3rd best offense, you would think we would have one guy averaging a point a game. That didn't happen. We didn't have one single player here averaging a point a game. That is very interesting. I know we have amazing depth scoring, but you're telling me we don't have one guy averaging a point a game? It just doesn't make sense. Goaltending was incredible once again this season. That shouldn't really be much of a surprise. We're taking on Edmonton in the first round. Whatever you do, don't lose in the first round. We're not choking again. Like, didn't I say earlier in the final 10 years we were going to win 5 Stanley Cups, and then we lost the Minnesota Wild in the first round? Like, that should just never happen. Like, there's no way Minnesota's beating us in the first round. Edmonton can't even compete right now. Our offense has been absolutely elite. Actually, I shouldn't even say the offense has been elite. The defense has been elite. Now the offense is elite. We're picking up 7 goals. So we've moved on to the second round. We have the Dallas Stars up next. Luckily, we don't have to take on the Minnesota Wild at all in the postseason, so we should be okay. So as long as we don't have to match up against Minnesota, I think Utah's going to have a pretty easy path to the finals here, except we just lost in game number 1. I might have spoken way too soon here. Don't split the series. Luckily, we're not. We have a commanding 3-1 series lead, and we're not going to choke that. We're moving on to the conference finals. Utah refuses to stop. And you know what? With this 4-game winning streak we're on right now, I don't really want to stop here. Let's add on to that 4-game winning streak, and let's make it an 8-game winning streak and move on to the Stanley Cup final, except we're actually going to be splitting the series here, but luckily we're going to win in game number 5, and then in game number 6 we're going to close it out, and we're back in the Stanley Cup final. A place Utah has been many times so far, but we got to win another one. So are the Ottawa Senators going to be able to compete with Utah? I'm assuming Ottawa's a pretty solid team, but not quite good enough. Offensively, we've been unstoppable. 6 goals in back-to-back games, and we're going to cap it off with an overtime victory. Utah's on top of the world once again. So I'm happy to say the offense did step up, and we had 2 guys averaging over a point a game. So that's what we were looking for in the Stanley Cup final. We needed 2 guys to step up, and we needed goaltending to step up. This was an incredible performance from Sergei. He probably should be our Conn Smythe winner. And is he going to be the Conn Smythe winner? It doesn't look like it, but he has taken home 3 Vezinas and 3 William Jennings. So you got to give respect where respect is due. This guy's him. So we're going to pick ourselves up a mediumly potential goaltender with the 22nd overall pick. But the best part about this guy, his name is Sergei. We just got another Sergei. That's what we needed on this team. And you know what? One mediumly potential goaltender is not going to be enough. So we're going to pick up a second one here with the 128th overall. Wow, this team is just in the trenches right now. What are we going to do with this 92 overall franchise potential player who's getting their entry-level contract right now? How are we ever going to survive with just that? Also, when it comes to all these other mediumly potential players, qualified as RFAs, and then we'll be traded away. Even this medium top 6 potential player I'd like to keep on the team, but we're not going to be able to afford them. So yeah, we're just qualifying all these guys right here, and then they're all being traded. Alright, so we've got a bit of money to work with here in Sterling. Of course, we're going to bring you back to the team. You're one of the key pieces, and we're going to get a good deal done. So here's the deal we're going to get done with Sterling. It's going to be $10.5 million for the next 7 years. We're actually going to be saving a bit of money on this one. Jackson Jacobson, I think we're just going to ride out a contract. I mean, we should probably sign one of these other guys. So here's the deal we're going to do with Boston. We're just swapping mediumly potential players. The one we're getting is a lot younger. He's also a lot lower when it comes to overall. Like, I think he's only a 79. But you know what? That's perfectly fine with me. We just have to bring guys on their cheap deals. So we're going to trade a 4th round pick as well, and we're getting this one done. So let's keep on flipping mediumly potential players. This one's off to the Minnesota Wild. The fact that I had to do a deal with Minnesota honestly upsets me a little bit. Now, this might not be Landon DuPont, but you know what? This DuPont's still going to be pretty solid for us after we throw a 7th round pick in the deal. So here we go with 2044 7th round pick, and that'll be enough for us to get DuPont. So here's going to be the final deal. Medvedev in the 1st round pick is going to be sent over to Florida. We're getting Godfrey. He's like an 81 overall, but I also want to get their 1st round pick. If I have to give up 2 of Utah's 1st round picks in order to get Florida's, I'm perfectly fine with that. We all know we're going to be an incredible team. It's going to be the 32nd overall pick, but if we can get Florida's 1st rounder, it could potentially be a top 10 pick. So I'll give up a 2nd rounder as well. Hopefully that's going to be enough. Let's not even worry about getting their 1st round pick. Give me a 2nd rounder though. So we'll trade for a 2nd round pick. We should be able to get this one done. At this point, I don't even care if we go 1 for 1. Can I get a 3rd round pick though? Like, you got to give me a bit of draft compensation. There we go. We got the deal done. Now, I'm not going to lie. It's actually kind of funny, but when it comes to our 1st line, very few players actually have good line fits here. Like, and that includes the entire top 6. Even though we don't have great line fits, we're still getting +5 boosts. So you know what? We're going to take it. We have elite players here. That's really all that matters. The defense is elite and the goaltending is elite. Sergei, you've won us multiple Stanley Cups. Time to get us another. So we're going to be finishing 2nd in the entire league once again here, but I'm perfectly fine with that as long as we win a Stanley Cup. Last time we were 2nd in the entire league, we won a Stanley Cup, so I'm not even concerned. At least this time we're going to have a couple point a game scorers. Harkins is picking up 97 points. Sterling's going to be picking up 88. Hebert's going to be picking up 85, so the team's still looking good here. Goaltending's looking great here. Sergei, I think you're going to be sticking around for the rest of the rebuild. Even though you're 31 years old right now, I think you have enough years left in you. Moving on to the playoffs, unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing the Minnesota Wild once again as they're not going to be making the playoffs, but we will see Vancouver and then probably Dallas. Like, there's very few times in this video where we haven't seen either the Vancouver Canucks, Minnesota Wild, or Dallas Stars within the first 2 rounds. I'm pretty sure almost every single season we've taken on one of those 3 teams within the first 2 rounds. Vancouver put up a nice fight in game number 1, but we've been dominating ever since. We're going to win game number 4 here, and then we're going to close it out in game 5, and we're going to move on to the second round. Utah's not messing around here. We just wanted to give Vancouver game 1 to make this series interesting. Now, who would have seen this coming? Utah taking on Dallas in the second round. It's a yearly classic at this point. We haven't had our yearly matchup against the Minnesota Wild in a little bit here, so having a yearly matchup against the Dallas Stars, honestly, that's not the end of the world. I believe we won game number 1. We're going to be winning game 2, a commanding 3-0 series lead. It doesn't look like it. Dallas is actually going to be evening up this series, but we're not going to lose 3 straight games. The Utah Hockey Club doesn't do that. Apparently, they do now. So we got game 6 elimination for Utah. We're not losing in the second round here. We're not planning on doing that, but maybe the team has different plans, because right now we're being dominated. We need a huge third period comeback, and I don't think we're going to get that. We allowed 7 goals in this game after being the best defensive team. You hate to see it, you really do. And the worst part about this loss right here is not only are we losing a lot of RFAs, but we're losing a lot of really good RFAs. Like, we're losing 2 90 overall defensemen. That's going to be hard to replace. After that unfortunate loss to the Dallas Stars, they're going to be going on to win the Stanley Cup, so at least we can say we lost to the Stanley Cup champs, but I'm not too happy with that. So I believe we have 5 seasons left. 5 seasons to win 5 more Stanley Cups. It's not going to be easy for us. Goaltending completely failed on us. The defense is going to be quite as good. We're going to be losing a lot of pieces here, but hopefully we get a high up draft pick. We do have some draft picks from other teams, and it looks like we're going to get the 7th overall from the Islanders and the 13th overall from Edmonton, so I can work with that. Alright, so I want to make sure that we're getting an elite potential player. With the 7th overall pick, I don't think we're going to get that, but with the 6th overall pick, I know we're getting an elite potential player, so that's why we're making that trade. So with the 6th overall, we're going to be bringing in this medium elite potential player right here. He's going to be a good defenseman for us. We'll probably hold on to him for a couple years, allow him to develop, and then the final 3 years, that's when he's going to play for us. Because yeah, with the 7th overall pick, this is what New Jersey's getting, medium top 6, so that trade was definitely worth it. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is actually going to work out really well for us. So the Anaheim Ducks, they had the 2nd overall pick. We are going to get so many first round picks because this medium elite potential player we got a handful of years ago has a ridiculous amount of trade value. So we're going to flip him over to the Anaheim Ducks. We're going to get the 2nd overall pick and 2 first round picks, and we might actually be able to get 3 first rounders. So let's see if we can get 3 first round picks here. This would be a huge deal if we're able to get it done. They're going to be saying no, we'll just do 2 first round picks, but they want a 2nd rounder or something. I mean, I'll give you the 187th overall and the 155th, and that should be enough to get those 2 first round picks. What an absolute steal. So here's what we're going to do. With the other guy's going to become an RFA, we're going to send him over to Chicago. We're going to get this defenseman. He's an 80 overall. He's going to immediately jump into the lineup for us. We're going to get this other medium elite potential player. He's going to be a good forward and a first round pick. We're finessing Chicago here. Now, we're not quite done here because Jackson Jacobson's not going to be returning to the team. He's 35 years old and he keeps on regressing. Now, this guy Minnesota drafted 1st overall, I wouldn't mind having him on the team. Medium elite potential. He's starting at like an 83 overall and he's a playmaker, and we need a playmaker here. So we're going to include this 3rd rounder and this 4th rounder, and then hopefully that's going to be enough to get him from the Minnesota Wild. We just continue to finesse teams. I love it. Now, we do have a couple more first round picks. With the 13th overall, we're going to be getting a medium top 6 potential sniper. The one good thing about that sniper is he's already a 70 overall, so you know what, in 2 years he actually could be playing for us. And then when it comes to our next selection here, we're going way off the board. We're drafting this guy right here. We're going to be drafting him like 50 picks early, but I didn't want to trade for a 2nd round pick, so at least we're getting another medium elite potential player. Jackson Jacobson, I want to thank you for the amazing years here. You were an amazing playmaker. How many Stanley Cups did you end up winning in your career? A 6-time Stanley Cup champion, and I'm assuming all of them were with Utah. You were an amazing player. Outlaw, I'm going to qualify you as an RFA. You'll be traded away. Johansson, I'm actually not going to qualify you as an RFA. I mean, I guess I could, but I don't even know how much trade value you're going to have. I'll go ahead and sign these rookies, and then we'll get ready for next season. Ain't no way we just had another coach retire on us. We can't catch a break right now. So we might have $19.6 million to work with, but the reason I don't want to spend any of it right now when it comes to extensions is I know for a fact eventually Harkins is going to need his big time deal, and that's going to cost us a lot of money. By the time Harkins needs a deal, Amadio's going to need an extension, Collins going to need an extension, so I just want to make sure that we have money for these guys. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know how I feel about this deal, but Outlaw, you're going to be sent over to Vegas. We're bringing in this medium-elite potential defenseman. He's only a 76 overall. I think if we give him another year to develop in juniors or something, he could be a good player for us, but it is a bit of a riskier deal. So I'll include a 3rd round pick as well. That'll be enough to get this one done. With all those rookies that we picked up in the last draft, all of them are going to be jumping into the lineup for us. This team's ready to go on another run already. So the Utah Hockey Club continues to look absolutely fantastic here. No weaknesses whatsoever. I mean, maybe you could say our defense is now a weakness, weakness. But then again, having all 80 overalls really isn't the end of the world with your top pairing looking that good. Sergey has dropped to an 85 though. That's the only thing I'm getting slightly concerned about. Why is he regressing as much as he is? Like, I'm going to be honest, within 3 years, don't be surprised if we run a tandem consisting of 2 78 overall goaltenders. It might happen. Like, Sergey is starting to regress here. He's not the guy he used to be, but you know what? He can still get us Stanley Cups. I know that for a fact. So Utah is now back at the top of the league, but the one thing I actually am surprised about is how good the defense was this season. 2.37 goals allowed. I thought our defense got a bit worse here. Maybe not. Maybe our defense is actually better than it's ever been. Amadio's leading the way, 92 points. Sterling's picking up 87 points. Harkins is going to be picking up 83 points. I got to know what the goaltending numbers were. Sergey, incredible numbers. 11 shutouts this season, a 913 and 237. If you let me down in the postseason, I will never forgive you. There is no way we're losing in the postseason with numbers like that. Like, I'm sorry, but you saw how good our defense was, and we're starting it off with the shutout. Okay, that's what we're doing here. We are going to be so good defensively. No team's going to be able to compete. 2 shutouts in the first 3 games. Can we make it 3 shutouts in 4 games? It doesn't matter. We're winning, though. We just got to keep on rolling. The defense on this team is going to be unstoppable. I don't think any team's going to compete with us. Is it going to be possible for us to have goals against below 2? I might be getting a bit ahead of myself, but you know what? The defense is so good, I just want to keep on rolling here. Sergey, you have to continue to look elite here. We're allowing 3 goals in game number 1. Game number 2 is going to be a big one, but you know what? It looks like we sorted it out. The defense is back to being absolutely elite here. I don't think we're going to have a goals against below 2, but you know what? It's probably going to be sitting right around 2.1. We're allowing 2 goals in game number 5, but we lost that one. It's a tough one, but we are going to be winning game number 6. So we're off to the conference finals. We continue to dominate the Anaheim Ducks. I feel like we haven't seen the Ducks very often in this video. The Ducks have just been one of those teams that never figured it out, but it looks like they finally figured it out. However, they're matching up against Utah, and Utah's not stopping. We're just going to keep on winning, and we're back in the Stanley Cup final. So you already know what we do in the Stanley Cup final. We win games here. We're going to sweep the Carolina Hurricanes and be Stanley Cup champions. Okay, maybe not. We have to win game 5 here. We're winning game 5, and then we're going to win game 6. Stanley Cup champions for Utah. It's that easy. Utah's back on top. We didn't have any point of game scores, but it doesn't matter when your defense is this good. Look at Sergey posting a 923 and a 212. That's just what he does around here. That's his 5th Stanley Cup, I believe. 5th or 6th. It's only his 4th? That doesn't seem right. I must be tripping here, but you know what? We won another Stanley Cup. 4 years left, 4 more Stanley Cups. Now, with us only having 4 seasons left in the rebuild, it doesn't really matter who we draft here. None of these guys are going to develop in time, so unless I draft a medium league potential player or something, you're not going to be seeing the draft pick. Now, we have $22 million in cap space, but we can't bring these guys back because we need to give out some extensions. Godfrey, I guess you're really the only player that we might keep on this team, and it looks like we're going to be able to. You're going to sign a reasonable deal here. It's going to be $3.6 million for the next 3 years. That's not awful. Like, that's the only good deal we've probably signed in a decade. So as I mentioned earlier, Harkins is going to be brought back to the team. It's going to be $12 million for the next 4 years. That's going to be a really good deal for him. He's going to be accepting on the spot, so that's going to make things very easy. Amadio, you're going to be the next guy up. We're going to give you a no movement clause and everything, so that's going to be another cheap deal. So Cade Amadio is going to be sticking with the team as well. It's going to be $11.9 million for the next 6 seasons. So that's going to be less than what he's getting paid right now. And then of course Kong, he's sticking around as well. So we're going to keep on with the extensions. Kong's now coming back, 10.6 for the next 8 years. And then we technically could re-sign one player, and then they can stick around for the rest of this video as well. We could go with Borswell. He would be a good defenseman, and you know what? I think we could use another defenseman on the team, especially one that would stick around long term. Depending on what he's asking for, we could certainly do this. So we'll do $7.3 million for the next 4 years, and now we're done with the extensions. We'll trade a couple guys away, and then we'll make another playoff push. So we're going to make this deal with the Tampa Bay Lightning where we have to trade our first round pick away, but as we know, our first round pick rarely has any value because we're always winning Stanley Cups here. And then we'll make one more trade before we head into next season. We're going to be picking up another medium league potential player. It's going to be Langfeld. I think we might be able to go 1 for 1 here. Apparently not. We have to give him a 2nd round pick. And you know what? We just got a 2nd round pick from the Tampa Bay Lightning, or a 3rd round pick. I don't really remember what we got. It turns out it was the 3rd round pick, so we'll trade that 3rd rounder away. Now, there is a very serious possibility that we could be the first 70 win team. Look at this team right here. We haven't been able to crack 70 wins so far in this video. We finished with 69 as the highest, but this team might be able to hit 70. We have a great goaltending tandem. Sergey continues to look amazing. We're pushing 70 wins this season. Now, what a disastrous season. 60 wins. Only 60 wins with this team. The goal was 70 and you're finishing with only 60. What an absolute disappointment. Every single player on this team is an absolute failure. And the only way I'm going to forgive this team right here is if you guys win a Stanley Cup. So just win a Stanley Cup. Plain simple. Like, at this point, nothing's unrealistic for this team. Like, Utah has been so incredibly good. When I say this team's been a disappointment and all they have to do is win a Stanley Cup to make me happy, they're going to win a Stanley Cup. Like, it's not going to be a difficult task for this team. We've won the first 3 games and we have scored goals in every single one of them. We've even so good offensively, it's actually ridiculous. A sweep over the Dallas Stars, that's the perfect way to start us off. So a nice little sweep to start us off, but the second round is going to be the toughest task. This is going to be the toughest matchup we've seen in years, the St. Louis Blues. Now, St. Louis might not have Robert Thomas anymore, but it's still the St. Louis Blues, and they're going to compete with the best, but maybe they just can't compete with this Utah team. We're up 3-1 in the series. Utah is so incredibly good, and no team can really compete with us at this point. Like, I really wouldn't be surprised if we win 5 Stanley Cups in a row, maybe even 6 Stanley Cups in a row. I don't know how many Stanley Cups we've won in a row at this point. I think this might be for the three-peat. If we win right here, I think we get a three-peat. You know, we've been a good team when I completely forget how many Stanley Cups in a row we've won. Like, we could have won 7 in a row at this point, but we got ourselves a potential three-peat, I think. Not 100% sure on that one, but it doesn't matter. We're 12-1 the postseason. I don't see us losing 4 games. Like, we're not going to lose 4 games to the Philadelphia Flyers. If anything, we're going to take this team down in a sweep. Now, it's not going to be a sweep, and they actually took 2 games away from us, but it's time for the offense to wake up. It's going to be 3-0 in game number 5, and then game number 6 was going to be 7-0, 6-3. We score goals here. Now, this might have been the best offensive season we've actually seen from this team in the postseason. Like, we scored goals like crazy. We had 6 players over a point a game here. That shows you how dominant this team was. 6 guys over a point a game, 16-3 in the postseason, and Sergei, you really did that. A 935 and a 183. Nobody could score on you, plain and simple. And with this dominant performance, that's going to be your 5th Stanley Cup, your 5th Vezina, and 5th William Jennings. Bro's really just him. Now, just as a refresher, that was the repeat, not the three-peat. I completely forgot about that Dallas Stars year. I completely erased that one from our memory. Well, that's pretty nice after winning the Stanley Cup. The 7th overall pick. I'll certainly take it. Now, if it's possible, you know what I'd like to do for the final 3 years? Normally, I just do this for the final 2, but I think we might try to do it for the final 3. The same exact team for 3 years. Barring the goaltending. The goaltending will probably change. Like, we could pick up 5 guys on their entry-level contract here, and then I think we might be okay with the amount of cap space we have. So with that being said, let's make some trades. With the amount of value that pick had, I was assuming it had to be a franchise potential player. I guess not, so I'm offering DuPont, and now all they want is a 7th round pick. I was willing to give you so much more. So here's a 7th round pick as well. Vegas is accepting. So as we know, it's going to be a lot easier to trade for the player rather than the pick. However, in this instance, it's going to be a lot easier to trade for the pick. Or I thought it would be a lot easier to trade for the pick. Maybe it won't be. Surprisingly, the 7th overall and the 64th overall isn't enough, so here's the 128th overall as well. That's not going to be enough either. You know what? I'll just give you all the picks I have for this entire draft. I don't care if we're overpaying. We're getting the 5th overall pick. And then with the 5th overall pick, we're getting Hutton. Now we just have to trade for all these guys. So I'll go ahead and trade this left defenseman over to the Buffalo Sabres to get their 2nd overall pick. Actually, it's not even the 2nd overall pick. That guy was drafted 4th or something. I'm tripping. Yeah, Columbus drafted the guy's 2nd overall. Now we're going to trade for him. So Columbus had the 2nd overall pick, and now we're going to trade for the guy they drafted. This isn't going to be enough, so I'll give you a 2nd rounder as well. Probably won't even take a 2nd rounder. I'll probably only take a 3rd rounder, so I'll offer that over. They're accepting. Okay, I got way too far ahead of myself. We are not bringing the exact same team back for the next couple years. Once we re-sign both of these guys and then one other player, that's all of our cap space. So yeah, no, maybe for the final 2 years we'll run the exact same team, but not for the final 3. So Shane Hebert, we're going to do $14.3 million for the next 6. We're only saving $1 million after giving you that no movement, so you're not really helping us too much here. Mauer, we should be able to get a cheap deal done with you. So Mauer's going to make this really easy for us, 9.5 for the next 7 years. So we're actually going to be saving about $2.5 million based on what he's getting paid right now. That should allow us to sign one more guy here. So we really just have to decide which guy it's going to be, and I think it's going to be this one right here. $11.6 million for the next couple years. Let's do a bit less than that. We do need one at least legitimate right defenseman on this team, and that's what this guy's going to be. So 11.1 for the next 4. Unfortunately, we will be losing one key piece. Sergei, thank you for all the amazing years here, but your time has passed. One more year to win us one more Stanley Cup, then we're bringing in somebody different. This pains me. This pains me so much. Hector Smith, 36 years old, 85 overall. It almost brings a tear to my eye. Hector Smith is going to retire soon, but not without one more Stanley Cup. And this next Stanley Cup means the most. Whatever this team does, they have to win next season. And the reason for that, 10 Stanley Cups if we win next season. He only has 1 Norris, which is a bit disrespectful because Hector Smith is one of the greatest defensemen of all time. But 1 more Stanley Cup this season, Hector Smith retires with 10. He'll be a 10-time Stanley Cup champion if we win this next one. And we have to win this season because honestly, who knows what he's going to do with his future. He could retire at the end of the season, even though he's under contract for 1 more year. Hector Smith, we're winning you 1 final Stanley Cup. So this is for Hector Smith. We are winning this Stanley Cup for Hector Smith. I don't care about anyone else on the team. This is for Hector Smith. And I guess maybe Sergei, because this is Sergei's last season with the team, but it's mainly for Hector Smith. Sergei, you've lost your X factors. You're an 86 overall. We're not doing this for you though. This is for Hector Smith, a Utah Hockey Club legend since day number 1. He's been with this team through thick and thin. He's been the longest tenured player on the team. And you know what? Because of that, we're going to reward him with one more Stanley Cup. They don't build loyalty like Hector Smith anymore. This man has been the most loyal player ever since joining Utah. He's accepted incredibly reasonable deals. He's taken massive pay cuts just so he can stay with Utah. And because of that, this team's seen so much success, it's ridiculous. And with this win right here, he's going to get 10 Stanley Cups. We're taking on Chicago in the first round. Chicago's taken 2 games in a row on us. Now I'm starting to get a bit concerned. Don't drop 3 straight games. We're not blowing a 3-0 series lead. Thankfully, that's not going to be happening here. We're off to the second round. Hector Smith, this one's for you. And you know what? I think we're going to see a familiar foe here in the second round. Okay, I thought it was going to be the Minnesota Wild. Apparently not. We have the Colorado Avalanche. Now, we've matched up against Colorado a few times in this video, and of course, they haven't been able to compete with Utah. Utah's just on a different level right now. Maybe we're not, though. We're dropping game number 1. We're losing way too many games here. Like, we split the series with Colorado. We shouldn't be splitting the series with anyone. We should just be completely dominating. Hector Smith, this one's for you. We're winning game number 5. We're going to win game number 6. We're moving on to the conference finals. We have to play elite hockey from here on out. No more mistakes. We're taking on Seattle in the conference finals. No mistakes. No more losing games. Let's cap it off with back-to-back sweeps here. We're sweeping the Seattle Kraken. Now we just have to sweep whoever we take on the Stanley Cup final. It looks like it's going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. It comes down to one matchup. One more matchup. The 10th Stanley Cup for Hector Smith. Hector Smith, this is your Stanley Cup. We're winning this Stanley Cup for you. We won the first 4 games. It's a sweep over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Back-to-back sweeps like I asked for. Hector Smith, 10 Stanley Cups. You just won your 10th Stanley Cup. I couldn't be more proud of you. And because it's your 10th Stanley Cup, we're giving you the Conn Smythe. I don't care if the game doesn't give him the Conn Smythe. He's getting it. Hector Smith did something that only legends can do. 10 Stanley Cups. The most Stanley Cups from a single player. This man single-handedly built different. His 10th Stanley Cup. 1 Norris Trophy. Of course, we're giving him this Conn Smythe, even though the game won't. Sergey, you're going to be getting one more Stanley Cup here with terrible numbers, but it doesn't matter. Hector Smith got his 10th Stanley Cup. The final he's going to get with Utah, unless he comes back next season. I mean, I'm okay with bringing him back for next season. I just assume he's going to be retiring. So I guess the question is Hector Smith going to be retiring? I can only assume he is, but I guess not. Hector Smith saw us win that 10th Stanley Cup. He's coming back for one more. I respect it. So this is an absolute no-brainer. We're going to try to get this first overall pick from the St. Louis Blues. I'm going to send Crab over. You guys messed up. You messed up big time there. And the reason for that, there's a franchise potential player projected number 1. Good work there. Okay, so for the final 2 years, we're going to try to run the exact same team here. McGuire, I'm going to send you over to the Dallas Stars. We're going to pick up this defenseman. Actually, the real question is, do we need a defenseman? And the answer to that question is yes, we do need a defenseman, so I'll throw a second-round pick into the deal. They're still saying no to that one. Okay, I'm a bit surprised you're not accepting this. Here's a 4th-round pick as well. Why are you saying no to this? This is a really good deal. You're getting McGuire. He's a great player. Here's another second-rounder. Dallas, you are bugging. Do you guys want a defenseman? Like, is that going to be the big difference maker? Like, I can give you this defenseman right here. Just accept the deal. That was very odd. So we're going to make this deal with the San Jose Sharks. We're actually getting worse in this deal. But you know what? As I said, I want to rock the exact same team for the final 2 years. So we're going to trade this young player over to the San Jose Sharks. We can get Bits. Bits is going to join the team. We have to give up a 7th-round pick. I'll give up a 7th-round pick. No problem with that. So here's the 7th-round pick. And now Dallas is going to be accepting that one. So we have Bits for the next 3. But in reality, it's only the next 2. Now this will likely be the final deal. But a 5th-rounder, a 6th-rounder, and a 1st-rounder being sent over to the LA Kings. We're going to pick up these 2 young players. They're saying no to that. I'll give you a 2nd-round pick as well. Actually, we don't have a 2nd-rounder, so here's a 3rd-round pick. Just accept this one. I'll take this medium top 6 potential player out of the deal, and then just give me this medium league potential player. Actually, what's his overall? I don't even recall. I think he's a 79 overall. Yeah, so here you go. We'll make this deal. That was kind of a stupid deal, but you know what? We get the guy for the next couple of years. So in reality, there's not too many players not coming back next season. Woods, can we do a really cheap deal with you? Okay, Woods is going to make this incredibly easy. We're doing $2 million for the next 2 years. He's going to be the starting goaltender. He's an 85 overall, 23 years old. And Markov, you're going to be the backup. So we're not going to have to really spend any money when it comes to our goaltending. That gives us $20 million to work with. These are all the guys we have to bring back. This left defenseman I know is going to be asking for a bag, but this isn't actually as bad as I thought. So we're going to be able to keep him on the team. So that's going to be $10.8 million for the next 4 years. And then when it comes to Smith's contract, it should be fairly cheap. Like Bro's an A4 overall at 37 years old. Smith, I might not be able to keep you on this team. I might not be able to. Godfrey, I think we could do a cheap deal with you where you're looking for $6.8 million. I don't want to do that. And then Langfeld, what can we do with you? Hopefully another cheap deal. we might not be able to keep you as well. So we might make some trades here. Okay, so it turns out we have like 17 really good forwards under contract, so we can trade some of them over to the Minnesota Wild to get a really good defenseman for the next 2. Okay, so I want to run the exact same team for the next 2 years. We're gonna sort of do that. I mean, it's gonna be like 99% of the same team. We have 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders under contract for the next 2 years. However, when it comes to the defense, Hector Smith, I can't sit you on the bench. You have to play for us this season. We have to get you your 11th Stanley Cup. We're doing that. So he's gonna play for us this season. Woods, Markov, that's a great goaltending tandem. One of the best we've seen. You're telling me the best goaltending tandem we're gonna see is in the second last year? Ain't no way. No, I thought last season was the big one for us, but apparently not. Because Smith is still on this team. Hector Smith is still on this team, and he is still playing valuable minutes for us. So we have to go ahead and win him his 11th Stanley Cup. 11 Stanley Cups for one player. That is more than quite a few organizations have. But Hector Smith himself is surpassing teams. You can combine multiple teams, and Hector Smith will still have more Stanley Cups. I'm not going to lie, I did not look at the stats of this team. I could not tell you what anyone did this season. I don't think we had a point a game score. All I know is Hector Smith is on this team, and Hector Smith is the only man I care about. 7-0. 7-0. We really did that. We lost game number 3 as well, but 7-0. Yeah, we are down atrocious right now. We are down horrendous. I don't know what to say. 7-0. We are down in this series. 7-0. We really allowed 7 goals in game number 1 and didn't score a single goal. Hector Smith, we are supposed to get you another Stanley Cup here. The boys are folding. The team is folding when it matters most, but maybe not. We're still alive. We have to win game 7. This is for Hector Smith. Hector Smith is bigger than the Utah Hockey Club. He is bigger than every NHL organization. Hector Smith is an icon. Hector Smith is a man everyone wants to be. He is just a hero. He is a god among men. And we're off to the second round. That was a massive Game 7 win. Hector Smith still has a chance at Stanley Cup number 11. We're moving on. We have the Colorado Avalanche up next. I think Chicago is going to be our only scare here. We figured it out moving on. Game number 1, we're going to win that one. Can we win game number 2? Yes, we can. The team has figured it out here. We have a 3-0 series lead. We're going to drop game number 4, but that's fine. We're going to close down game 5 and move on to the conference finals. Hector Smith, this is for you. This team goes to battle for Hector Smith. They're going to put their bodies on the line for Hector Smith. That's how important this man is to our team. We lost game number 1. We lost game number 2. Oh boy. Hector Smith, we need you to make a huge comeback. This is for Smith right now. We win for Smith. Smith's legacy is on the line. He has cemented himself as the greatest player of all time. But you know what? Why not add one more Stanley Cup? 6-0 in game number 5. We keep on rolling. This team looks elimination in the eye and says, we're not falling just yet. We're not losing quite yet. We are going to win this game. We're going to win this game in overtime. Smith is scoring the OT winner. It hurts my feelings a little bit seeing Hector Smith fall like that. He was supposed to be another Stanley Cup champion, and Hector Smith's just not going to win here. Age has caught up with Hector Smith. One thing we thought would never happen is age catching up to a man such as Hector Smith. We thought he was invincible. Apparently not. Hector Smith, I don't know if you're that same guy anymore. I don't know if you're going to retire, but you can't retire on me, Hector. You can't retire just yet. You are the heart and soul of this team. You're the captain. You can't quit on us yet. 83 overall. We could probably sign you for really cheap. Hector Smith has to return. He has to return for the final season. What do you want when it comes to a contract? We are going to make the money work. Hector Smith, I will find the money to keep you on this team. 8.3 million. You know what? I'm giving you 8.5 million. I'm going to overpay, but it's not an overpayment for Hector Smith. We know how valuable he is. So here we go. We got ourselves the last dance. Arguably the best team we've ever been. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me that the best team we're seeing is in the final year. Hector Smith is still on the team. What an absolute icon. Like, everyone wants to be Hector Smith. He's going down as a Hall of Famer. He's already a Hall of Famer. He's been a Hall of Famer for the past decade. But you know what? 11 Stanley Cups, that puts him in a league of his own. So Utah's going to cap off the 25-year rebuild with a 61-18-3 record, the best offense and best defense in the entire league. That doesn't surprise me. With Hector Smith leading the defense, of course we're going to look amazing. Amadio, Sterling, Bergevin, these aren't the guys that led us to multiple Stanley Cups. These are just the guys we're finishing the rebuild off with. Gary Woods is that man, though. Like, he is an elite goaltender, no question about it. But this Stanley Cup just doesn't feel the same. With all the players we've lost over the years, It just doesn't feel the same here. Hector Smith, you're the lone piece from the very beginning. I mean, not quite the very beginning, but you've been here for at least 20 years. Hector Smith has been one of the key pieces to this team, and I want to give him Stanley Cup number 11. Like, it's only fitting that we win one more Stanley Cup. We have to have one of the pieces from the original core being Hector Smith. I re-signed that man. He's sticking around. We're starting it off with a shutout in game number 1. That was Hector Smith right there. His elite defense led to that. We're winning game number 2. We're winning game 3. Utah's figured it out here. One more for Hector Smith. A sweep over the Colorado Avalanche to start it off. You'll love to see it. So that was a big sweep over the Colorado Avalanche. Moving on to the St. Louis Blues next. We know St. Louis is always going to be a tough task, but you know what? Utah's built different. We won game number 1. We won game number 2. The defense has been spectacular. 2 straight shutouts. We're not going to take them on a sweep, so 16-0 is off the table. But you know what? Utah's going to keep on winning here. We're going to keep winning, right? Like, we're not going to lose this series. We're going to close out game number 6 and move on to the conference finals. I have full belief in this team showing up, and that's exactly what we're going to do. 8 goals is going to be more than enough. Now we have the Seattle Kraken. We take down the Seattle Kraken in a sweep and we move on to the Stanley Cup final. Now that could have been an absolute disaster. Just ran out of space on the PC, but you know what? I just noticed that just in time. So we made it back to the Stanley Cup final. Year number 25 is about to conclude with us winning a Stanley Cup, and that's going to mean Hector Smith is going to get Stanley Cup number 11. Hector Smith, the greatest defenseman of all time, having the greatest career of all time, and we're going to finish it off with the Stanley Cup. A 3-1 series lead. Hector Smith, I want you picking up that final goal. We might have lost game number 5. We'll respond in game 6, though. I'm not too concerned. Hector Smith, you're that man. You are the greatest defenseman of all time, arguably one of the greatest players of all time, and you know what? In the first period, who picked up a goal? Hector Smith. We're winning 5-1. Hector Smith, you're a legend. Hector Smith is going down as the greatest player of all time. In year 25, the boys have done it. The 25-year rebuild is complete. Franchise mode is done. Utah's winning another Stanley Cup. So I think in this video, over the past 25 years, we won 13 Stanley Cups. Hold on. Are you telling me once you get to year 25 now, I can't look at any of the stats? I used to be able to look at stats when I got to year 25. I can't look at stats right now. I can't see what Hector Smith did. I can't see what this team did. I used to be able to look at stats. I just played 25 seasons to not know what this team did. 25 seasons of rebuilding. This video took me 5 or 6 days with how long it takes to simulate the postseason. And you are telling me I can't see what we did over the past 25 years. I can't look at the team history. I can't look at Hector Smith's career. I can't look at what we did in the postseason. It's just done like that. Franchise mode's complete. I can't look at anything. I'm gonna lose my mind. So Hector Smith, thank you for all the amazing years. Franchise mode's complete here, but I can't look at what this team did because franchise mode is complete. That is the stupidest thing you could have done. EA, why did you change it? I have done 25-year rebuilds before. Once franchise mode ends, I can still look at the stats. I can't look at the stats here. This is dumb.